That's a hot take.
Swinging around American flag, because that's what America's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like permanently chill.
The insurance commercial has a fat ass, but like no personality.
Yeah, I feel like sitting here and listening to this.
No, god damn it. Isaac, New Noise is not the first fucking refused album.
Rip Isaac a new one today. Do you know what I mean? Like...
Don't touch my records. Ever.
Oh, hello.
The intro. Oh, what's up, guys? And welcome to Hot Takes. It is I, young Shiro, and my esteemed cohort, Skeleton Lipstick.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you guys here tonight. We're so excited to see our regulars, Lux, Soft Replica, Saturn Foo. Good evening, y'all. To anybody that's new, we welcome you. Hot Takes is a vaporwave and independent electronic music talk show whereupon we communicate with the community, the same root word. We bring on esteemed members of the community and we geek out and argue and debate and just chat about all the art and music that we love. The disagreements that we may have are all surface level. We keep it lighthearted. We keep it fun, but we're not afraid to be controversial, right? Just no punching, no punching down. Punching up is just fine. Hey, we got a new viewer. What's up, buddy?
Oh, hello.
Just want to ask everybody, as usual, to keep us in the loop about volume levels. If I'm too quiet, if Chris is too loud, if Sonavision Deluxe or Komit are two wonderful guests that we cannot wait to introduce to you guys, are too quiet or loud, let us know. Music, etc. Want to remind people a couple things. If you like emotes, blast those emotes because we got an emote wall, and your emote will be across the screen anytime you type it. We're also unveiling a new pinned comment feature. So anytime somebody has a question, I'm going to pin that question so it can't be forgotten. See how that works today, right?
New addition.
Because keep it in mind, everybody, your questions for our guests is the most important thing about Hot Takes. What you have to say is the most important thing, right? Keep those questions rolling, and of course, thank you, Lux. ! Donate. If you feel so led, we would love to take your money. All your donations go towards equipment upgrades and commissioned art from the community. People like B. Fanti, PJ Rourke, Sega Octopus, and other amazing people.
Best people ever. You're naming
get paid.
Right now.
DS Dude, Eparita, get paid by you anytime you feel like hitting that donate. One other thing, I was going back into my commands and I forgot. If you hit !Skelly, you can get Skelly's link tree and follow him on all his socials. !Shiro brings up my link tree. Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
You are always just upgrading and additioning and just all kinds of new. Every week is another upgrade. You're just.
I'm no disco-holic, but I'm trying to keep Hot Takes fresh. So that's enough for our introduction. Welcome, you guys, and thank you for being here. And we can't wait to get rolling. But we're going to start this evening with some recommendations, courtesy of one of the internet's best tastemakers, Dr. Skeleton Lipstick.
True, I agree with that sentiment exactly. Okay, let's do some recs. What do I want to recommend right now? Why don't we start with something from a newer, more recently released from a very active vaporwave artist, and I'm going to actually recommend Soulcraft, who's done quite a few albums actually, and I think he's done almost 3 albums in the last year. It feels like. I know he just released a new album, but I kind of want to go back a little bit and talk about another album he released called Stranger, and it was released on Business Casual I think several months ago, and I think that he's really been pushing a lot of some of the new work he's been releasing, which what's his most recent album, The Shroud. Oh no! It was New Sands, and then Normal People. And he's been pushing these ones a lot, but I want to go back to the one right before that, which is Stranger, which is a very awesome, sort of mid-tempo vaporwave album. Really great use of samples, really powerful songs too. Like I could play some of these at Terminally Chill. You know what I mean? And that's something I'm always
Hell
actually
yeah.
kind of looking for, is something that is kind of able to be classified in the more classic interpretation of vaporwave, more classical, considered classical style of vaporwave. That I can still play at the dance party. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to find those overlap.
That still has like a mid-tempo groove that's strong enough that it can still play in like the dance floor. It doesn't. We're not talking future funk, rhythms for that kind of dancing.
Right.
But there's a lot of different ways to dance, and there's only so many times I can play like Banned from Living by Gloom Cult. You know what I mean?
True.
Which is like the perfect example of something like that. And this album is full of songs like that, and it's just a really powerful album. I really enjoy this album a lot. Very. It's very, I don't know, it's got like this authoritative quality, a philosopher speaking or something. I don't know. But anyway, if I have to recommend one song from it, I think it might be Embodied. That's my favorite song from the album.
I love to hear the
I know
the
you've
track
been asking for these things lately.
Yeah, I have no attention span, so I appreciate that.
Okay. And then another old thing older thing I'm going to
Oh, shoot.
recommend.
Thank you, Be Careful. God damn. Sorry, Be Careful. And Leo just hit us with a $50 donation. Holy shit.
Oh my God.
Thank you, buddy. Sorry to interrupt, but thank you.
That is getting
God
invested
damn.
directly back into our friends. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That'll go towards a new teaser with the correct time on it. Anyways,
So,
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No. I gotta move it along. I think maybe I'm taking too long. I'm gonna recommend a very older sort of first wave artist from the the vaporwave extended universe, or at least the pre-vaporwave world. And it's Bewilderbeast.
We love Bewilderbeast.
I know, and we've recommended him
yeah.
many times. But I'm never gonna stop recommending him, because I think this is like somebody people really need to know about. I think he's one of the greatest producers ever. He's so creative. He's wonderful. He started off around the 2010-2013 era, on Airlines Records. And,
shout out Airlines.
Yeah, shout out Airlines. And he was like always. I mean, there's one thing that like I talk about with so many people from that time period, is how good Bewilderbeast is. Like, you guys don't understand. Like I talked to George about how much he loves Bewilderbeast.
Nice.
And he's a big fan.
Good
Everybody's
taste.
a big fan. Lux is a big fan. I really would love him to get more attention, but Gus is a phenomenal producer, and he still produces occasionally, but he's just never been somebody who really pushed his music too hard on people. So it was just I'm not sure if he was very comfortable with doing that. So I just don't think that enough people know about Bewilderbeast. Start with Unreal Estate. Maybe start with that album if you can, and just go through his stuff. He's really talented.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Great chill wave meets vaporwave type vibes.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Watch Your Noise.
I guess on the subject of vaporwave, a sort of a vaporwave album that I've kind of been, I don't know, just kind of putting on in the background pretty frequently is this. I think this Seco Mart album, Gentleman
nice.
Gentleman Lounge Dining Cult, and the album is Real Connection. And there's a lot of it's a lot of vaporwave with altered vocals, slowed down. I mean, not that's like a crazy thing, but.
Right.
That's always my favorite kind. Not my favorite. I don't know. This recently been more of my favorite kind is some of the things that are including the vocal chops, because obviously you can not include the vocal chops and just do a straight instrumental. That's very powerful
Very
as
true.
well. Lately, I've been just sort of kind of I've just lately been interested in the pitches in the different ways vaporwave artists change the pitch of the vocal. Obviously, they're always slowing it down, but then there's something slightly different about the way that they slow it down, and that sort of individualizes them. And I've been getting a little bit OCD about looking at that kind of stuff lately. So I like what they're doing. I like the intonations that they're using on this album, Real Connection. Go listen to This Way, I guess. That's a really good song. But
This Way.
Gentleman Lounge Dining Cult, Real Connection. Okay.
You always get these deep ass cuts, bro. You must stay listening to music.
It's just like, with anything with vaporwave, it's like I just approach it the way I always approach it sometimes, especially when I'm doing a pick, is to just sort of click on the Bandcamp for the
Thank you for the link, Lux.
and then just sort of like scroll up and down a little bit, and then see what.
I'm just really impressed
until you find something that works, rather than like.
I feel like my recs are always super surface level, and yours are just.
That's not
damn,
true.
This
I
guy's
think
a
you're
great
being
figure.
That's 100% not true. You're just being
You're
hard
right.
on yourself. And how about this? How about I recommend something that requires no crate digging whatsoever, and then I think I can't even believe I'm saying right now. Why don't we do something popular? And this is gonna actually counter a hot take I made. Well, it's not gonna counter it, but I guess I have to own this. Okay, is that I was in the hotel room this weekend for my cousin's engagement party, and I had it on cable television, as they do in hotel rooms, and we put it on MTV, and they're playing music videos again on MTV.
Oh yeah,
now.
I saw that story. Yeah.
And you know what? I saw a couple videos from the new Taylor Swift album, and I like heard them, and I was like, this person's a really good songwriter. They're outstanding.
Damn.
They're pretty good at at constructing it out intelligently written pop song. But I have to say, I actually went and I listened to that new Taylor Swift album, and I still stand by my hot take that the only reason that she was able to move out of country pop hell was because Kanye gave her attention, and then people were like, who's this?
Oh yeah, people loved that.
Nothing
take.
wrong. But I do believe that that's like why. But you know what? Everybody needs a break. Everybody needs the right attention to be placed on them to get that opportunity. Nothing wrong with it. Not everyone gets something like that. So, but I will say that that new album is quite good. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It actually made me like be like, oh my gosh, should I like go back and listen to her other albums? I'm probably not going to do that, but I do like that one I listened to. I think that it's appropriately rated, despite being this like crazy behemoth where everything's like a #1 single from it. But you know, something's got to be that in this world, and this isn't a bad thing for that thing to be.
You heard it on Hot Takes. All right, let's not keep the audience waiting too long.
Let's get Sona and Komit on soon. I want to get these guys.
Yeah,
these two on
so
here.
let me rant for a second. I have ranted before about people who release just singles or just short EPs instead of albums and how much I miss like albums. But let's talk for a minute about albums that are too goddamn long. Y'all got to stop making these 2-hour-long albums, man. Honestly, I think the perfect length for an album is like 30 minutes to maybe like an hour and 20 minutes. Y'all motherfuckers need to stop making these like epic, sprawling albums that nobody has the attention span to listen to.
Be
like,
epic and sprawling, but just not
I respect,
long. Is that all right?
Bro, maybe. I mean, listen, this is
I
completely...
don't think it has to be long.
is
You can still make it like
completely
epic and
subjective,
sprawling.
But like,
But
I
it doesn't have to be
respect
long.
it
Oh, I'm
for
just
its
saying
own...
that like people...
But listen, man, people have got these like 2-hour long.
And
And DJ Sabrina, the teenage DJ,
oh,
unfortunately.
that's
is
right.
guilty of
That's
this.
why you're bringing.
Charmed
this
is
up.
like
You were
3
complaining about that
hours
the other
long.
day.
Bro,
Yeah.
don't nobody want to listen to your 3-hour long album. Like, can you trim the fat, please? Save some of that stuff. A Derelict Mega
Remember
Tower.
what? He like
Derelict
releases
Mega
like
Tower.
3 albums every
Put
two.
it, release it
like,
for maybe your next album.
But they
Release a
do like. But
B-sides
that's
album.
the other thing is like
The Caretaker. Save it for your
releases
Patreon,
the really
bruh.
long albums, but then 3 months later releases another really long.
Another
so already
long
doing that.
ass slog.
I
Listen,
feel like they do that like 3 times a
the
year.
content is good, but people just lose like their place. And
Okay, I see what you're
fucking
saying.
all right. So let me just
Is
shut
there
up.
any yeah,
Let's hear
I got it.
your
No, that's
counter
interesting.
take,
That's
and
interesting.
then you can introduce the boys, and we'll get this episode rolling because I feel like
Okay,
we've
fine,
been a
fine.
little long-winded.
Well, no, I'm just going to bring them on right now rather than have them wait for the counter take.
Okay.
So we have Komit and Sonavision Deluxe coming up. They have a phenomenal album called Creation that actually like Sona had like sent me a link on Instagram. It's like, yo, this is gonna be a great album. You don't even know it's the best album ever. And I saw that and I was like, oh, all right.
That's how y'all ought to be.
Okay. I appreciated the confidence and I'm like, I probably will be pretty good if someone's saying this. Like, you know, if they have the confidence to say that.
I wish I had that
Then
confidence.
I'm like, it probably must be pretty good actually. And I listened to it and it was really good. I think it's a really interesting affair. There's a whole, it's not even just that there's a whole vibe that comes along with it, but there's just like, I swear to God, I feel like every time they would go through the songs, be like, oh, I think we can have one more thing right in between here. Oh, I
Nice.
can't even imagine how many times these songs were gone over to be like, well, why don't we add this right here too? So anyway, very interesting combination of artists right here to put out a very interesting album. They've already released pretty good music before this, but this is really good. So why don't we bring them on?
From pretty good to really good. All
I was
right.
already good, but this
Everybody
is
give a warm welcome
really
to
was a great
Sonavision,
album.
Sonavision Deluxe and Komit. You gentlemen can unmute yourselves. You are on camera. And are we just going to completely gloss over my take, or do you have a rebuttal?
Oh, let's go back to it. I just wanted to introduce them.
Good.
Extremely long album take.
Yeah.
What
What
do
are
you
your
think?
thoughts?
That are good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously nobody's got time to listen to a couple hours long album. But I mean, if you're gonna make a project and then like that's your passion project, I say why not go fuck it, go for it.
If
There's a
that's what
place
you
for
feel
it,
you
for
is
sure.
Right, then you do it.
Yeah, I mean, not
Hello,
every-
everybody.
Hey, what's up? How you doing, Komit?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you still going, Sona?
no, not really. What up, bro?
Okay. So when it comes to really long albums, I don't know. I struggle with albums in general when I'm listening to them digitally, like on my computer.
Right.
I love physical media because it gets my ADHD brain to like focus on this one thing. Like I can't open up a bunch of tabs on my turntable.
True.
So
You
so
can't
I
hit
could just
shuffle
sort
on
of
the
zone
turntable.
in. And if it's like a big deluxe like double disc like release on vinyl, I'm like, okay, I could get into this, and it could be really long, and I'll just be like super engrossed. I'll be like watching it spin, like hypnotized, and the time will just go by for me. So I
I'm
prefer
so jealous.
listening to especially longer albums on physical media, and tapes can hold longer too. Like you have like 90-minute tapes, so you could.
They got some that are longer.
Has an
think,
artist
like,
ever done like a double date?
A longer album on physical media is what makes it a more. That's a very interesting take. A longer album on physical mediums is a whole different experience than just putting on, a longer album on a streaming service. And just listening out of your phone.
Good
Tapes
I think it's a
hold
little bit more.
lot
That makes more
and
sense.
Has an artist done like a double tape release? Because you see like double disc
Good
vinyl,
question. I
but
think
like
so.
I've only seen like single tapes come out.
I feel like I've seen it on Dream Catalog. Chris, do you recall anyone doing anything like that?
Double tapes?
A multi-tape release?
Well,
Or,
I
like,
mean, like
one
sometimes
album.
people. Oh, for like one album. Oh, I get it. Like not like the album, then there's like a remix album next to it. I've seen people do like 4-part things, like what's it called? Geometric Lullabies releases those box sets occasionally with the
Gotcha.
Yeah.
tape in it. But I'm not sure. Sometimes those albums are actually released separately. So I mean, even if they're interrelated. I mean, people do a lot of interrelated albums.
Can we agree
Like,
that like long ass albums make more sense on physical media like tapes and vinyl than they do on digital?
Well,
I
yeah.
get too distracted if it's a long thing and I'm online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just
Fair.
have this impulse feeling to just go exploring other videos, especially if it's like a YouTube release.
Yeah.
The recommended stuff is on the side, and
you don't have to deal with all that fucking distractions when it's physical
No.
media. That's the thing. You're listening on your phone as a distraction machine. You know what I mean? That's all
like,
it is. You
could
put
get
the
called
tape
or
on or the
texted.
record on, and then everything's off. Like the record is only there to do the one thing, to breathe life into the romance of that music. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like a whole
The
ritual
record of
laying down in the
it's
dark
a
and
ritual,
listening to it on a record.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm
this is
gonna
all
grab a
good
drink.
stuff.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
But
that's
then again,
interesting.
I love finding weird, crazy stuff on Bandcamp. I think Bandcamp is one of my hot takes. Is Bandcamp is probably the best thing to stream on because there's
I
no
agree.
ads,
No.
and so artists can they can limit how many times you play an album, which is understandable because they want you to buy it. But if they set it to like unlimited, then like who needs all the other ones? You could just listen to it unlimited on the Bandcamp app.
Bandcamp is also
And-
interesting because you can't really shuffle songs. You can only listen to one album. at a
They
time.
have a shuffle all function
Right.
now. Didn't
Oh,
they
they
just
do?
didn't
Oh,
they just
fuck.
unveil that?
I thought that was the interesting thing about Bandcamp was I had to listen to the album if I put on.
Well, it was that way for
That
like
would
a
have been a
goddamn
cool
decade.
restriction. I don't know. We should discipline people more to
We should,
listen
yeah.
like that.
I agree. It's just people put time into making something.
Let's
It's just
get
nice to
contentious,
experience it that way.
Sona,
So-
remember when your face is far away
Let's-
from the mic, your audio doesn't come through.
All right.
Sorry, because I just saw you said
Shove it
something.
down
but
your throat.
We didn't hear anything that you said. What did you just say just now?
I said Chris Brown seems to think that we need 40 songs on a fucking album nowadays. So
Oh, Chris Brown has 40 song albums.
yeah,
I did not know that.
It's like, why do we need 40 songs from fucking Chris Brown?
Fucking Chris Brown.
We don't.
You heard it
need
on Hot
Chris-
Takes.
Like, I get the idea after like 5 songs from Chris Brown.
Like, bro, we've heard it. It's not 2008 anymore. We got it.
I
That's
wish it
funny.
was 2000. Well, I know. In some aspects, I don't.
All right, hold on. I want to get to some questions. First off,
Yeah.
the first question I just want to ask is, how did you guys end up collaborating? Like, what
Okay,
was the genesis of
so there's a little bit of a domino effect to this
Okay.
story. It starts with one of my solo albums, Soundbathe.
Oh,
which I have
yeah.
right here for context.
Nice.
So I made that record in like 2020. Summer of 2020, I was on a Windows 96 kick because he
Shut
got me
up.
into vaporwave, just listening to him. and I was like, this is like the music that I wish I always like was making. You know, it's like, oh, you know, when you realize something like you always needed it, but you didn't know until like the moment you discover it.
I love that moment.
That was like his music to me, and it really inspired me because I love like the video game soundtrack type stuff. So anyways, long story short, I made an album, that record I was talking about, very heavily inspired by his sound. And I tweeted at him like, hey, thanks for inspiring me. Check this out if you want. And he listened to it. He said he liked it, but he thought that the artwork that I originally made was shit. So
damn, that's cold.
So he redid the artwork for me. It's this wonderful like Blender, not Blender, Bryce, like this archaic.
Shout out Bryce.
Shout out to Bryce. It's this old version of Bryce 3D. This 3D.
Wait, Sona made that?
No. Windows 96.
I'm sorry.
Made this for me
just
because he liked my
That's
album.
amazing. I can't believe that. That's crazy.
I know, it blew my fucking mind. So, anyways,
That's
how this
crazy.
leads into your question is that he also got me on the record label.
His
Midwest
remix
Collective.
on your album is phenomenal too, by the way.
Oh yeah!
That
Oh my
remix
god!
to
It
Windows
blew us
96.
away when he
That
sent
was so
it to
good.
us.
I cried when he sent me that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't
Oh,
imagine.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I
You're
was like,
such a huge
we
influence
did
on you
it.
guys.
We could retire now. No. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's
This
really
is so
special.
great.
So
That's so
I was
special.
like
I love
super
that.
stoked that Gavriel from Windows 96, he also got me onto Midwest Collective, a really great record label.
I love Midwest Collective. Sick.
Yeah, and so I was
They're
like
the
super
homies.
stoked, and I was
Love
posting about it on Reddit, and Sona saw one of my posts on Reddit about the album and was like, fuck, this dude is like in touch with Windows 96, and he really loves his stuff too.
Oh
So,
yeah, I know Sona's a huge fan. Yeah.
So he pretty much reached out to me after that, and he was like, hey, here's a demo for this thing if you ever want to collab. And he sent me what ended up being our big hit single, Creation Through Existence.
Yeah, great song.
And I loved the melody, because my whole thing is like it needs to have like a good catchy melody or a theme.
Yeah.
And what he sent me had a really strong melodic presence to it, and I was like, fuck, I should work on this, because at first I was like, had no idea, what am I getting myself into? And so we make this track, it blows up, like, for us, like...
So that was the first track you guys made?
Yeah, and it was just such a good flow that we, like, just
That's
kept,
what I want to ask, because
we kept collabing until
I
we
have-
built an album. So, Sona, you could also speak to your side of the story.
With Chris, Skeleton, what were you saying?
Because I've heard, lots of people have collaborated, right?
Yeah.
But and sometimes feels like a very distinct voice between the two. But when you guys collaborate, I can still tell that there's like that your two artistic personalities are coming through in your parts that you've written for the songs. But like it's still like it's so complimentary. Do you know what I mean? I know there's like you guys have a very natural flow.
Like one thing.
Yeah, it was a very natural flow, but it was also like rather complex. Like I just feel like you guys must be kind of weaving in and out of each other's melodies, trying to figure out where you can complement and you can complement, and how do
Excuse me.
I mean, like, more realistically, it was me starting it off, I feel like, in like...
Okay.
You're the track starter, Komit is the
Yeah.
track finisher. Gotcha.
Got it.
in
Makes
the
sense.
setting, you know what I mean? Because like a lot of the way I approach, making music is like it's a narrative every time.
So you
I
come
would-
in with an idea in your head of what the song is going to represent.
Yeah, every time, and I
Interesting.
get it, and I would tell, like, we would talk about, the narrative, of what's going on, like the lore, I guess.
Yeah.
So much
And-
lore. He would
There
send
is a
me
lot of
these like
lore.
paragraphs of like the story and all the
Really?
all of us were all
What?
like characters in
That's
the story.
great.
Like
You
I'm
wrote
the
this
exalted
all out,
nomad
too?
comet
Yeah.
from this
I
civilization.
wasn't- you-
And,
wow.
and Windows
I mean, I
96
knew.
is a character in it too.
Really?
Yeah.
Like collabed.
I like this fan fiction.
Yeah.
And also a
love
really
the
great
effort.
artist, Nano Novo, makes an appearance on
Oh
one of the
yeah,
tracks.
yeah. Shout out.
Pastel Beach. Shout out.
Oh,
like,
and-
he-
Oh
Shout
yeah,
out
we
who?
also like Pastel Beach. We talk with
Yes.
him. Yeah, we have our own little Discord server called
Y'all
the
are
96
squatted
Cult.
up.
Wow.
And Yeah,
And
and
then
we all
6
talk on there and send demos.
Do y'all all like
Fun.
video game soundtracks, or mostly just you?
Oh yeah,
I think we all do. Yeah.
Do you guys want to
It's pretty
shout out your
even.
like top 3? Maybe starting with Sona first.
Minecraft, easily the best.
Oh yeah, that's like
Video-
a critically acclaimed. Chris, have you heard the Minecraft soundtrack? It was like released on Ghostly International and shit.
No, I'm gonna listen to it.
Can't
now,
remember the
though.
artist's
Thank
name.
You guys.
C418 has influenced my production like way more than I ever thought. Because,
Really?
dude, my entire
It's like a critically acclaimed electronic music album. I'm serious.
I gotta. I'm so sorry. I gotta listen to this immediately.
I didn't. I think it's subconscious too, because it was just I was 13, 14 playing Minecraft till like 3 a.m. and just hearing it over and over.
That's very interesting. That's
Very
now
cool.
become something burned into your nostalgia. Very
Oh.
fascinating stuff. Interesting.
Like yeah, my nostalgia 100%.
How old are you again?
I'm 24.
Oh yeah. So that's
Y'all
right.
some
That would be
youngins.
pretty recent.
Let's hear
Yeah.
some other favorite video game soundtracks.
Wait. We got it. Let's do that. But then I gotta get back to the genesis.
That's fine.
Of the album.
I was
But
just
we'll get
I
back
just
to
want to
that.
get some name drops. That's all.
Of course, please. No. Do your thing. We gotta do that. Do your thing, man.
Minecraft.
So are you still going?
Yeah, it's got to be Minecraft. Oh shit. No, all right. You
Thanks,
give one.
Lux.
Okay, so Disaster Pieces music for Hyper Light Drifter.
Very
He also
cool.
did Fez. Both of those soundtracks are amazing.
Damn.
It's like epic chiptune.
Wow.
I don't know how to. It's like the most cinematic chiptune you've ever heard in your life.
Damn. Okay.
So yeah, Disaster Piece. He also scored the soundtrack for It Follows, the horror film It
Oh,
Follows.
really?
And it's like
Wow.
a video
Wow.
game horror, but for a movie. Also, the Jeremy Soule compositions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also likes Jeremy Soule. But my nostalgia comes from the work he did on the Harry Potter licensed games for like PlayStation 1 and
Wow.
PlayStation 2.
So
I grew up-
specific.
I like it
Interesting.
more. I like it so much more than the John Williams music.
Really?
Honest. But like the Harry Potter
Wow.
music you think for the movies,
Wow.
the Jeremy
Wow.
Soule soundtrack for the video games, he
Uh-huh.
composed like millions
Man,
of
these are
themes
some deep
for
cuts,
every
y'all.
single game.
Jeez.
Like
That's,
he did like the
I
first
know.
4, I think. And it's
Wow, it's not even
go off
deep,
about
it's like
Jeremy, bro.
passionate about it too. I love it.
Yeah, all 3 like major Elder Scrolls games, the modern ones, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. Yeah, he's a genius straight up.
Yeah.
He did those
composer.
two.
I also love Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness for PS1. John Holland did the soundtrack for that. It sounds like a Windows 96 album. That's
Yeah.
the soundtrack to Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness. So yeah.
Definitely.
Say that one more time.
Octopath Traveler has a fucking amazing
Oh, I
song.
fucking love Octopath. Are you gonna play the second one?
Wait, there's a second
Comes
one?
out in February. Boy, I can't wait.
That's dope. That-
Anytime.
That main theme for that game, me and Pastel Beach have like a song like that samples it coming out.
I want to
on
hear
my-
it so bad. Send it to me.
Oh yeah, you're working on a new album.
Ooh. Well, that probably
coming
segues
together.
really well into Chris's next question.
All right, what's up?
So you guys had done the song, and then you just released it as a single initially.
Yeah, and it got like a lot of attention that I was
That's a
not
very good
expecting.
song, Yeah.
Because all of my stuff, like less than like 10 people listen to it. I'm used to being like an invisible presence online, but
Yeah.
Same.
I don't know. Sona just has this like magical like charm to anything he touches. It like gets a lot of notoriety. And he's
Yeah.
the king of connections because he reached out to me, and then that spread our like collaborative juices all over the place. Oh my god, I don't know how to word this.
That's good.
And then he reaches out to you guys,
Yeah.
and it's just, and I just feel like I'm on the ride, you know. He's like leading the whole of the pack, and I'm just like on the back of the van,
It's-
like, wow, this is fun. I'm glad you decided to take me along.
It's done well because it's really
Because
good.
I'm
Me
such
and
a, I'm
Concrete
such
is
a
really
hermit.
good.
I'm
It's
very
really
like
good
to
work,
myself
there's a
and
lot
in my
of
own
passion
little
in it, a lot of
corner,
creativity in it.
and
No,
it's,
like
it's hard for me to like
You can
put
send
myself
things-
out there.
listen,
So he does
people
that
can
for
send
me.
things all day long, and people might listen to it and they're like, that's a great job, but it only begins to do well if the content can actually support that. It's really good content. I get sent a lot of albums by people, you know what I mean, for sure. But the content was really good. It was very creative, you know what I mean. And like, you know, when you initially hear the synths, you're like, okay, I've heard this before, and then you're like, no, I haven't. It's changed all of a sudden. Yeah, exactly. It's changed, and then like all of a sudden, like one melody goes, and then I don't even know that another melody is fit right underneath it right after.
There would be moments where I would take some of his melodies and split them in half, and then I would add my own MIDI on top of it.
Nice.
Really, that's what you really.
Like a game of. Have you ever heard of like the game Exquisite Corpse?
Oh yeah, where everybody
like
every
when you
writer
draw
adds
one part of a thing and then you fold it, and then the next person has to continue drawing like
yes.
Someone does the head, someone does the body. Our melodies are kind of like that.
I get those vibes. What was I gonna say?
I love music that makes me feel like I'm on an adventure. And that
exactly,
I get that from y'all's music.
The entire drive behind the Komit project is that I want it to be like this. It's pretty much this wholesome, like childhood-esque adventure that you would feel like watching a fantasy film or playing a fantasy game as a child. That sense of wonderment, like this wonderful open world I could wander around in. I want to create a sort of space for that, and Sona does that excellently too. He set up just about every track on Creation. He sort of did like the opening synths and like the opening beats and just the core elements, and then he would pass it on to me, and then I would just sort of throw it into a blender and take over for the middle, and then I would bring back some of his stuff for the end. And then there was one track, Mythic Conjurer's Garden. I started that one. That was almost completely done, but I got like stuck. I was like, I can't figure out how to finish this. And so I sent it over to him, and he came up with this beautiful like when the beats finish up, it goes into this beautiful ambient section, and he adds like these cool vocals with like effects on it. And I was like, that's so genius. That's how I could finish it. And so I was able to take it back and wrap it up. So
very talented people.
Whenever we hit like a roadblock, it's like help me.
Dude, those vocals that he's talking about, I literally me on my phone being like,
no,
really?
It's so good though. It's just you know how to take something that stupid or silly and make it sound majestic with effects.
So can we hear a story behind a track that you made first and that Sona quote unquote perfected?
That was sort of what I was just talking about. The Mythic Conjurer's Garden is it's the third track on the record.
You're right.
I started that one out. It was a melody I had. This happens with me a lot. The opening melody for that was something I had lying around for several months, and I just didn't really know what to use it for. And then when I found myself in the middle of this record with him, I was all like, "Oh, here we go! I could just go into the archives and pull out this corpse of a melody and resurrect it."
So Sona, can we hear the reverse of that? I was trying to ask about the reverse of that, but clearly I'm. Can we hear about a track that you started, and what Komit did to finish it up?
Yeah, I mean, Creation Through Existence is like the stereotypical track of it all, I guess I would say. Like,
it's a perfect 50-50 split, I would say.
That's the tone for everything else.
It's me for that song. It's like 30%, bro. You turn that thing into a fucking banger of a.
So this is what the show is going to be, us arguing about, is like how much we did what, but like in a complimentary way.
It's just really funny. You guys are both so just like casually talented. Like you're like, oh yeah, I just made this album, wrote paragraphs for it. Just put all these melodies into it. It's funny because like it's a very artful and very full of life album. And you guys are just like very casually talented. It's interesting.
I've been doing this since I was 11, so it's second nature.
That beats like on FL Studio. All I use is FL Studio in my fucking. I don't use any like hardware really.
You don't need to. I'm a huge hardware geek, and coming from me, like you really fucking don't need to. If it wasn't for me discovering GarageBand on my shitty old 2006 Mac, like when I was 11, I wouldn't be where I am now in terms of skill and experience. I was like, I find this freeware like software on my computer at a young age, and I'm like, wait, I can do this too. It's that easy. I don't have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. I don't.
Hang on, somebody's mic is crackling super bad. I'm not sure whose it is.
Oh no, is it me?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it might be. Damn.
Oh darn. It's okay.
Sorry, we don't have to like stop everything. It's cool. It's just crackling really bad.
Okay, because for context, I'm using this crappy wireless mic that's hooked up to my Tascam 4-track tape recorder.
Wow.
I can't believe how quickly you hooked that up last night.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy. But like, I guess it was because my built-in microphone from my computer is too quiet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the crackling stopped.
Okay. Okay. This thing is so weird on like your placement because it's wireless.
I'm
and
sorry.
It needs to get the right reception.
Right.
So there's this weird dongle thing hanging out. This is like tank controls trying to see reverse. Okay. You're
like, chilling. It's barely out of frame on the show, anyways.
Okay. Are we in like 4x3?
You're in like a perfect square, kind of.
Okay, can you see Michael in the background? There's my baby boy.
Of course, absolutely.
Michael.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those listening in podcast, Komit has Michael Myers, like a whole Michael Myers shrine. Is that screen back there too?
It's a mask. It's like an accurate recreation.
The Michael
and
Myers
I also have
mask.
like the ghost face that with the what's up.
Yeah.
Scary movie.
How fun. Yeah. Love it.
My room is Halloween all the time.
Oh, let's get a look at what Sona's got. For those listening in podcast, and actually, can you tilt your phone? Can you center that statue? Sona's got like an entire like mannequin statue. There you go. Tilt it a little bit more away from you. There you go. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. There's like a whole mannequin statue. That's
there you go.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, well,
pretty classic.
I thought that Komit had made a funny comment before the beginning of the show. Was that Sona and Komit represent like two the two different ranges of the spectrum of the vaporwave aesthetic. One being like the neon busts and the classical hyper real backgrounds, and the other being the grainy VHS sort of found footage stuff for Komit.
That leads into a brief comment I want to make about like a possible upcoming project. Is what I want to do is I have a PS1 and I have it hooked up to my VCR, and I want to do this thing where I play like weird like first person games, and I just want to like aim the camera of the game to like weird spots of the environments that look really liminal, and then hit record on my VCR, and then like digitize the VHS and like score music to it.
Oh
wow, that's actually really
release
cool.
It on YouTube is like liminal space compilation, and it will get like a bunch of views.
Right. Like
just I want to milk that liminal cow teat.
You guys, this album you made, like if I had to describe it as like a version, like a vaporwave, I'd be like it's like prog vaporwave.
Ooh,
like
there it is.
Yeah,
it's like prog. Like I never really knew what to call it, like what like prog version, like prog vaporwave would be. That this is like a prog vaporwave.
That is
album.
a very apt description.
Same thing, bro.
Because we're very much like. No, I don't really vibe with being called a producer. We're composers. You know, we are into the notes.
Version of it, but in vaporwave, like whatever that would mean.
What are
this is what it means. Like
I feel that like I
King Crimson, but vaporwave. Like I can't like it's just like progressive vaporwave.
What did you say just now, Sona?
It's all just like these like classical sounding melodies, but done via synthesizers. With the vaporwave production style.
Yeah, it's vapor prog. There you go.
Vapor prog. Yeah, we did it. We're making that. Okay.
So the unfortunate fact is, for whatever reason, anytime anybody else is talking while Sona talks, we don't get to hear what he says.
Oh,
his audio's not coming through. So what was the thing that you said?
Yeah. Hold on.
You don't have to like go mess with your sound settings right now, but is that happening for you guys? Like where when you're talking, you can't hear what Sona's saying?
I'm noticing that on my end.
Not all the time, just once in a while, but we usually go back.
Yeah, anytime somebody else is talking, I just see your mouth moving, and I don't get to hear what you say, which is unfortunate.
We'll figure it out.
So if I hear you say something and it looks important, I'm gonna stop everything, and just ask everyone to be quiet so we can hear what you said.
No, I was saying that, like, that makes sense because Rush. Oh yeah, I'm mad into Rush. Like, love Rush.
I nailed it. I nailed it.
Rest in peace, Neil Peart, 100%.
For sure.
Like, that was my first concert I ever went to.
Really? That was your first
Yeah.
concert?
With Rush when I was like 14. I got stoned as shit with my buddy, and his mom drove us there, and like we chilled out and watched Rush. It was dope.
You got high at 14 and watched Rush. That is going to inform the way you approach music, sir, when you get older. You got high and watched a Rush concert at 14. That is going to shape your mind of how you interpret music after.
Dude,
Wow.
like my dad honestly got me into music. Like, I've played guitar for a really long time, probably since I was like 11 is when I could actually like, you know, learn it and start playing. But yeah, Rush, Van Halen, I love like all the old like virtuoso guitars like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai.
Fascinating.
I love Buckethead too, if you guys listen to Buckethead.
Yeah. Okay. This is fascinating. And I knew it when I was listening to this album. So that's so funny. Well, let me ask you then. You were talking about a lot of guitar work, a lot of studying the virtuosos. At what point do you gravitate towards electronic music?
I mean, I always loved the synth sounds. Like even Van Halen has it in their '90s stuff. You Jump.
Oh my God! This Jump, one of the most famous.
Jump is so
lines of all
fucking cool.
time.
God damn it.
Most famous synth lines of all time.
Dude, that's like Eddie. Even as a guitarist, like he was doing all the keyboard stuff. You know,
Oh,
like
really?
yeah, he's the greatest guitarist to ever play, I think, in my opinion. So, yeah, I take a lot from Van Halen, I guess, in some weird subconscious ways.
Yeah.
Van Halen's a lot of fun.
But
when you start approaching electronics?
I don't know, really. Like, I always, you know, liked it a lot. Honestly, at the end of high school, I started getting into kind of like R&B synthy stuff, like Majid Jordan, if you've ever listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting like The Weeknd as whack sound. Like
The Weeknd's great. I like The Weeknd.
I think The Weeknd is great too.
That, you know, and then I found vaporwave because I was making trap beats on YouTube, like trying to sell my rap beats at the time, and like the vaporwave aesthetic was the really like what was selling. I mean, like getting a lot of views like with rap beats, but like it was like Simpson wave or vaporwave aesthetic for the pictures.
Right. Kind of strange.
So I figured that like I found it out through like the visual aspect of it. And I didn't know there was like a music side to it. So I started listening to the music side and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then my buddy showed me Windows 96, Gav.
Of course, yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he would be the godfather of Vapor Prog, you know what I mean, for sure.
Bro, I was like, bro, my mind was blown. I was like, bro, this is what I've been wanting to make.
Bruh.
It hit just right. That's awesome.
And then I didn't do it for a while, but then one day I was like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna make a project, like try to do some stuff like this. And then I was listening to him and like Com Truise while I was making it, so it kind of sounds like
Thank you, okay, baby.
Yeah,
I thought I heard a little Com Truise influence in y'all's work, but I didn't want to be like, sounds like Com Truise. That's not really a compliment, you know.
It's like it's not that hard, you know, but it was definitely there. But then I got in touch with my brother over here.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So how did you get involved in what? How did you get involved in deciding to make music? When did you start with all this?
Oh my God. Okay, so that actually has to do with why I called
you mentioned
myself.
a little bit about being on GarageBand, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So this
you
is
mentioned
back
a little
in,
bit
like,
about this. I remember
this is
you
back in like the late 2000s. I was just like heavily on YouTube and just watching a lot of films, like short films that people would like skits and stuff. And I was heavily inspired by like filmmaking first. So I wanted to make films. I just had this, crappy late 2000s digital camera, and I would do these dumb skits with my friends. And that around that time, YouTube was really cracking down on copyright, because before they didn't care, like in the early days. But then by the late 2000s, they started getting really, intense about it, as they are even getting worse now. And so I was like, oof, what am I going to do for a soundtrack? Oh, there's this garage band thing with all these virtual instruments. I guess I could compose the music for these movies. And so that initially got me into it. But then I discovered this band called Juno Reactor. They started out in the 90s. They're more of like a psychedelic Goa trance kind of like dance outfit that would like combine all sorts of different influences from like different cultural music, like world music. So you'd hear like the techno drum beats and like the synth arpeggios mixed with like Tibetan chanting and like Japanese like the string instruments from the East, and I don't know, like African tribal drumming, like, and I don't know, a weird Yemen folk song sung on top of that, and like Latin with like trance and stuff. And it's like, it blew my mind. It's like what, the music like this can exist? What? And they have a song called Komit, spelled Komit. And when I heard that, I heard that track for the first time. It blew my mind. I was like, okay, I want to do music like for my life. Now, when I heard that song, it kind of gave birth to the inspiration for me. So I decided to name myself after the track. It's really unoriginal and dumb, and it doesn't really mean anything. But
says you.
Yeah. It just came from being so inspired. It was like, I love this. I can't really come up with a full name, so I'll just take this track title.
Awesome.
But in terms of vaporwave, it's very similar with Sona, Windows 96 being the catalyst for it.
Oh yeah, as you mentioned earlier.
Big in the mid 2010s with the Floral Shop, the classics like that. And I thought it was like funny. I didn't really take it seriously at first. I thought it was kind of like a meme, kind of like a joke.
Lots of people do. That's how it always starts.
I thought it could only be sample based. That was like, I thought it was like a strict rule. Like it has to be like slowed down, chopped up vocal stuff in the 80s. And I was like, that's cool and all, but I don't really do that. I don't really sample that much. I've tried it. It's fun. It's cool. Sampling is dope. But it's not really a good fit for me. I like composing original stuff from scratch. So I thought, okay, I guess I just don't belong to this. That's a shame. And then in 2018, I was on this summer trip to Japan, and I was just scrolling YouTube, and I find 100 Mornings, the album by Windows 96. And I just started listening to it on a whim while I'm walking through like this giant park somewhere in Japan, with like ancient temples and shrines and like a huge koi pond, and just listening to this ethereal music and knowing that it was like, some kid my age making all of this himself, and it's like no samples, he's all like composing it originally. And I'm like, oh my god, I could do this too. This is kind of what I do in a way, but I could tap into it more specifically by choosing these specific beats and these specific video game sound fonts. He uses a lot of like Mario 64.
Hell yeah.
I sort of connected with that, but I never really thought to incorporate much of it into my sound until I started listening to him. I was like, oh, okay, I could see myself doing this, whereas at first when I looked at vaporwave, I was like, maybe I can't do this because it seems like a sample only thing. So listening to work made me feel confident enough in entering the scene.
Interesting.
It was more my vibe. Personally.
And then you probably got in here and you were like, oh my god, all these people are doing all kinds of different things. They're all involved in the scene. And everybody's like approaching this in so many different ways,
Right. There's no wrong way to do it. Komit, do me a favor, put the mic a little closer to your mouth.
Okay, sorry. When I had it like
You're good.
when I had it that originally like this, I saw like feedback coming
Well,
through.
now it's crackling.
Oh, now it's doing that again.
Welcome to Hot Takes.
Maybe that
When you turn it on its side, the crackling goes away, but then there's like a hiss, and we can't really hear you.
Okay.
Like, I can
wow.
hear Sona
I'm sorry
coughing
about
louder
that.
than we
This
could
is
hear
going
you.
to be really embarrassing
Nope.
to show my friends later.
No, it won't be. It's fine. It's Hot
Well, we'll
Takes.
figure. You'll
Something
figure out
always
the
goes
right way to
wrong.
hold the mic.
I
eventually.
do have an EQ panel. If it's too hissy, I could turn the high pass.
If you want to play with it a little bit, I will not stop you. We actually.
How was that? I turned it all the way down. The high pass.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it.
You're under
For less hiss.
Yeah, let's hiss.
Good.
What did you say
Nicely
just now,
done.
Sona?
Professionals, right here.
Nothing. I
Professionals.
was fucking around.
You were fucking around. We actually have a question from the chat, you guys.
Oh yeah.
I think it was a general question to the whole chat, but it's a great question. And Steven, I don't know if it's pronounced Savage. Steven wants to know, who was your first vaporwave artist that you guys discovered? They mentioned Aceberry Fantasy and St. Pepsi and Dan Mason. What about y'all? Was Windows 96
Windows
your
96,
first?
right?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
let's hear
Who's
who-
the genre,
let's start.
But initially,
Actually, it's Miss Lux herself.
Really?
Shout out
Yeah.
in the chat,
right.
in the flesh.
I
Yeah.
listened to the album is escaping me, but it's like my favorite.
Cephog.
How could I forget? That's so embarrassing. But I listened to it a lot in 2018. It's the one that Swack is off of, World Class.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
I adore that album. I was into that. Yeah, no, I got into that around the same time as Windows. But before I was familiar with Vectroid, like the Floral
Fuck yeah,
Shop album,
Vectroid.
Macintosh Plus. But
Of course. Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I mean, I like it now. I like
wait.
sincerely, unironically enjoy it.
A lot of things start like that. In fact, most things people start getting, especially when punk first started, people got involved in punk for the same reason. Like I thought this was a joke, and then I got involved. I saw it meant a lot more. And even the fact that it's interpreted like that initially is almost to keep out people, from this really cool world. It's almost like a defense
Kind of
mechanism.
connects with like the makeup style I'm doing, which is kind of influenced by the new romantic like punk wave type thing. But specifically,
Yo,
nice,
High Society on
nice,
tape.
it's beautiful.
Sona
But
has got
specifically,
High
like,
Society
that-
on tape.
I got.
What'd you say?
This is the first cassette that I got.
Like ever?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's really
Awesome.
special.
I wonder where that artwork like is derived from.
Don't know.
It's definitely a very iconic style.
Oh yeah.
What was your experience discovering Lux, Sona?
Huh?
Like, how did you come across vaporwave? How did you discover Lux? What were your thoughts?
So when I was making those beats and like looking up
the trap stuff.
pictures to put on the YouTube beats and
You said you thought it was just an art style, and then you discovered
Yeah.
it was actually a whole scene associated with it, like you said.
Yeah.
And is that when you discovered Lux? Like along that
Yeah.
project? Oh
like
wow.
it just recommended me World Class, and I saw the photo and I was like, that goes pretty hard. So on it and I was like, yo, this is fire. And then
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Heat.
started to listen to it. But then yeah, Gav is what really was like, oh shit, this is on this hits me.
Right.
So let me ask you guys about do you guys ever have writer's block? You ever have difficulty writing music? Really?
Oh yeah. Every day.
I've noticed whenever I try and limit myself to a specific theme, like, okay, because currently I'm making this album that's like this desert level type of vibe. Like, you know how every video game back then would have like an ancient Egypt stage?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you
Like,
you hear, like,
Yeah.
that one
you know,
particular
the
string
Eastern
instrument.
wind, like the snake charmer type music
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and like the percussion.
Yeah, it's always like
And-
clay pot, like bongo type shit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing an album like that right now, and
Nice.
what sucks about it is that like it's good that I have the vision, but now that I'm like locking into that style, sometimes I won't be in the mood to enter that world and do that kind of desert level kind of music. So to combat that, I just go off and do whatever random style I crave. And by the time I'm done doing that, I feel more in the mood to go back to whatever I was stuck on. So when you do get like a creative block, it's because there's some kind of resistance. You like deep down in your mind, you don't really want to do this. So I go off and because I do like the big polished records on my computer in my DAW, but for funsies I go off and do stuff on my hardware. And that Korg track I showed up, this is a Korg ES1. It's a 90s sampler drum machine.
Oh my god!
And you could just put whatever sound you want into it. It's like a found sound type of thing, and you could program beats onto it and make full tracks. I mean, it's really limited.
Damn.
But you could just go out and get lost into this thing. And it's like working with hardware is like learning how to make music all over again.
Yeah.
So whenever I get stuck in my DAW, trying to get like, a specific theme done, but I'm not really feeling it, I go off and I play around with these silly little toys, and I just make random noises and I make random beats with no aim. Just have no aim or goal in mind. Just full creative, like do whatever you want.
Hell yeah.
And you feel those limitations like lift off of you and you feel more free. And actually, I would recommend artists to just make a whole bunch of demos in whatever style they feel like doing at the time. And then after they have a mountain of tracks, just start picking and choosing which ones complement each other, and then you have an album. I think that process works really. If you go into an album like starting it like it's going to be 100% like this, and I'm going to do everything exactly like, it's good that you have a vision, but that's going to limit you, and you're eventually going to hit a roadblock and not feel like it anymore. You'll get kind of burnt out on your own idea. So be open to doing whatever you want at any time, and then by the time you have a bunch of tracks built up, you can pick and choose which ones go well together, and then organically you have an album come together.
Right.
So I recommend that. It's fun. It's very like wild card, like you have no idea what you're doing, but it's more fun that way. I don't know.
Let's hear about Sona's writing process.
Honestly, it kind of goes the same way. I mean, I sit here and make probably like 3 to 4 demos a day. But
Nice. That's prolific as fuck.
Sometimes one will just like hit, and I'll just stay on that for like 2 or 3 days and just write it out and then release it because I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I didn't spend this long to sit on it.
Right.
And then I put it out. But I think when I get writer's block, it's mostly because I find that like I haven't been listening to new music as much lately.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like I haven't found something to be like, oh, like I want to explore like that different sound and see how I could bring it in, because I feel like that's a big thing of like the music we make is like trying to take as many different influences and put it in there.
I think that's great advice.
That's so true.
We'll be right
That's
back.
great advice.
Like, like I try to listen to, like I do listen to video game soundtracks, but like, lately some Studio Ghibli shit. Like I love those anime soundtracks, bro. They're so good.
Hisashi, right?
I forget who was the guy. Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Oh, Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Oh,
he is a
he's
phenomenal
super.
composer.
He's like so critically acclaimed.
Oh,
So
yes.
wonderful. So many cool.
We love
collaborations.
him.
Everyone,
In his house, we love Ryuichi.
What was it, like Super Space Force or something? That movie.
Yeah. Okay. He did like this manga film soundtrack, and I keep forgetting the title for it. It's like Super Space Force or something.
Yeah, Super Space Force or something. Yeah, and
I sent him this track from that movie, and he just like ate it up, and I'm like, yes, here's the good food.
Here's the good.
Shout out to the first-time viewers that are like really enjoying y'all's tips, by the way.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah,
everybody.
This is great stuff.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be listened to.
Yeah,
In any
I mean, but
capacity,
Ryuki
if you like
Sakamoto,
speech or my music, it's very much appreciated.
Ryuichi Sakamoto is so like cool and so interesting, experimental. You have to understand that the Oneohtrix Point Never had him remix a song for him too.
Oh my god, that's
that
right.
there's it was one of the songs off of what's it called? I think it was last known fragment of a song. I think he remixed that one. But
I need to check that out. The only one
Ryuki Sakamoto
thing I heard was his soundtrack for Good Time.
That's all you've heard? I think you guys would really appreciate R+7. You should probably listen to that album. I think you'll like it a lot.
Yeah,
R+7 is right up your alley, I think.
God damn.
And let me tell you, Ryuki Sakamoto remixed a song by Oneohtrix Point Never. Clearly, he must have something going on. So I think you guys should check it out. I think you guys might really enjoy diving into Oneohtrix. That's like every vaporwave artist has some kind of influence and interest in Oneohtrix Point Never. I think you guys will too once you check him out.
I'm definitely going to check him out, but that made me think. Because
he's the godfather of vaporwave, basically.
I keep going back and forth between like something that Sona mentioned.
Hold on. The fact that you mentioned Godfather of Vaporwave is GG Mason, bro.
GG Mason is heat.
Bro, GG Mason
has also been sampled a lot in instrumental hip hop.
Oh,
all the time.
Like I feel like he's underrated though. Like, you know, like
should be more put in. People should be talking about him more often in relation to this genre for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. The synth sounds, you know,
really should be.
They're almost identical to, you know, a lot of what Komit does. Like the
really, I've never heard of him.
Yo.
That's insane. You know that I actually get that a lot. People will like come up to me and be all like, "Oh yeah, this totally reminded me of this," and I'm like, "Oh, nice to cool. I haven't ever heard of this. Thanks for introducing it to me."
Yeah.
Hey,
like,
speaking of heard,
this thing that
Chaser Wave has a
there.
question that's been sitting in the chat for a second. Chaser Wave, based on what you had said earlier about what you're working on, wanted to know if you guys have listened to the Oasis comp that Dr. Chris was talking about a few episodes ago by Global Pattern.
Global Pattern, yeah.
Have y'all
oh my
listened to
god,
that?
no! But I've been watching Global Pattern on Twitter though, and I love the vibe. Like it's like a nature wave type thing, right?
Yeah. Dr. Chris was really taken with it. Gave a really strong.
I need to get into that so bad because I recently did a remix for Bathroom Plants.
Bathroom Plants, shout out! They are
and
of course. I could totally see the connection between you guys and Bathroom Plants.
They collabed with Golden Living Room, didn't they?
Oh,
I did the
remix.
I love
Golden Living Room.
Hard.
I've known him for years, and he was obviously part of the Polymath Vampire album I put out. So,
beautiful
it's part
work.
of like he's putting together a remix album actually, and it's going to be like a thing where it's like a charity album where he donates all the proceeds to. I think it's some kind of trans organization, which is really dope. Yeah. And so I was like, cool, I'll hop onto this, and so I did a remix of his track. Echoes of Nature from Skyscrapers.
Nice.
Very, that paints a picture. And I have no idea when it will be released. I emailed it to him, and we'll see when it comes out.
Awesome. Well, shout out Golden Living Room. That guy is an inspiration. Just
indeed.
Real lovely human being who just inspires me all the time, honestly. And he's also a friend of the show. We can go back and watch his episode.
He's got some real rippers too. If you let him.
I've known Joel for like 10 years. Who even knows how long since the beginning of all this? He's just a wonderful person. He's shouted at me before on the Future Sounds. Is
this the most wholesome music?
My Pet Flamingo.
Do you think? I think so.
It is, right? It's really good.
Yeah, I just listening to this conversation and how you're talking about like these wonderful people that you meet in the community. It's like, I don't know. I've always felt on the outside with the music scenes. In the 2010s, I tried to get into the EDM stuff, like the whole Skrillex, dubstep, wave, whatever. And I felt like I was forcing myself into it because I was just really lonely. I wanted to be like part of an electronic scene for once. And
it gets a little surfacey, that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just wasn't 100% into it. So I was like, okay, I guess I don't belong anywhere. And then the more I got into vaporwave, the more I realized, okay, I actually resonate with this, and a lot of the people here are really nice and lovely, and we share the same vision.
Yeah,
and it was the first time I felt like I belonged. So I'm happy to be here in the vapor sphere.
It's not perfect, but we're trying.
Every now and then
we like it quite a bit.
There's some stupid discourse on Twitter like every now and then, and that's like the worst it gets. You could just log out and enjoy your vinyl collection or whatever. I don't know.
Right. Well, if I can just ask you guys if we want to roll into some hot ones, no names, but if you want to think in your mind of an act in the scene that you feel like is overrated,
Oh boy.
Why do you think? No names, but starting with Sona, he's shaking his head. Why do you think the overrated act in your head is overrated? Some constructive criticism, right? Everybody could use it.
Isaac,
They don't live the life they claim they live, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
wow. That was so cryptic and interesting. Love it. Love it.
They don't walk the walk. No praxis.
They don't live the life they think they live. Wow. Stern. Scary. All right. Interesting. I love it. All right.
Chris is scared of these takes.
I'm scared of these takes. Do you have one comment? This is a tough question.
That's a really
Isaac,
good one.
Isaac,
like
this is a tough question because it's, wow.
Well, there will always
interesting.
be somebody that you're just like,
What?
I don't know. I'm not going to put words in anybody's mouth.
I
But
guess.
if you have some constructive
There
criticism,
was this one. Okay, so you know how like when you're browsing YouTube and you just see like a big vaporwave album taking off, and it's just like you see the artwork everywhere. It's like a bunch of people re-upload it, and it's on vapor memory and everywhere. Well, one of those I decided to check out, and it was just like really, I don't know. It was like a more hard vapor, like vapor trap type of album. That's like a big classic. Like it's been around for a few years now, and just it's like the most bland, uninspired, trying to make vaporwave like modern. And I'm sorry, I don't want to hear modern beats in vaporwave. That's just
now. Was it hard vapor like the
Beans.
2016 DJ Alina Flash Kostovich hard vapor, or was it like vapor trap, like
vapor
Blink
trap
Banshee?
type stuff?
Okay.
Wow. All right. Hot take.
That's a hot
thing. I'm glad people enjoy it, and it's
how
like
we get 'em.
You know,
I got a hunt for him, but I get him.
I'm not telling people to stop doing that. Like, do whatever the hell you want. It's just, it doesn't really fit my vision of the genre and why I connect with it.
All right. Very interesting stuff. Isaac, you got any more questions?
Well, so of course, they'll never end. So if I may ask,
I'm sorry. I'll finish that by saying we need a lo-fi hip hop, like electro hip hop resurgence. Like, old school
Interesting,
hip hop,
okay.
like on boom boxes, like people breakdancing, like from the 80s.
Okay. Yes.
That kind of style needs to fucking come back, and it needs to explode the vapor scene. Like
a little more
80s hip hop.
breakbeat. Yeah.
That needs to
Got it,
come
got
back.
it.
there was
Got it.
actually a lot of lo-fi hip hop in early vapor, like Obby Live, and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can never have more of that.
Evil
enough of
Needle,
that. I
a
don't
lot
know
of
what
that
I'm saying.
stuff. Yeah, in like the Juicy Tunes and Keats Collective era, there was
Yeah,
a lot
I just-
of lo-fi hip hop
I just
overlap.
struggle
Yeah,
with
there
it when
really
it's like-
was. Now
when
that I
it's
think
like
about
the-
it.
Because when I hear like a
particularly on
hyper modern
Keats
like
Collective,
trap
there's actually
beat
much
in
more of that.
like just superimposed
There's
onto a
future
genre, it just sounds like people really trying hard to be hip,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it sounds forced to me. It's like you guys are just trying to be cool, and I don't think you're being genuine about it at all. You're just trying to be trendy by putting a modern beat in something that is supposed to be about the past.
If you do go to like the top SoundCloud tracks that are tagged vaporwave, they're usually pretty awful. It's usually somebody taking home resonance and throwing a trap beat over it.
Wait.
That could go die. I'm sorry.
Has SoundCloud become like a vaporwave platform now?
I mean, I feel like there's plenty of good stuff still on SoundCloud. Okay, hot take, and Indie Advent is in chat and will agree with me. SoundCloud is slept on, man. I mean, I realize it's not quite up to where Bandcamp is at,
Interesting.
but there is still some fun. You know what I like the most about SoundCloud, y'all? You can see
that?
what your favorite artists like.
Like,
Like
that's
if you say you
cool.
like Perturbator, why don't you go find out what Perturbator likes and listen to that? That's pretty cool, don't you think? Or Windows 96
you know
probably
what?
likes some
I
shit.
had a big presence on SoundCloud when it was like earlier, like when I was like in high school, like early 2010s.
Yeah.
I loved it. I adored it. But then I noticed I wasn't getting genuine reactions from actual listeners anymore. Because before I used to get like genuine like comments and people like, pinning at the time. I love that too. I love how you could like pin at certain points in the track, like
Good
like
point.
in the timestamp. You could timestamp comments. I love
Good
that.
point.
But then a couple years down the line, it's just all been bots. and it's like no one is actually like there's no actual human beings
I
listening
know
or
Sona can
interacting
tell
with
me
my
about
stuff
the
on there
golden
anymore.
era of SoundCloud.
And so that kind of just threw me off, and
That's
I
where
just haven't
all
really been
the hip hop was. All the trap
Yeah.
and hip hop was on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
of the
I-
SoundCloud
yeah.
rappers.
Yeah, bro. I had some rap tracks on SoundCloud as a high schooler.
No, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, that was the place to
still
be.
have
I mean,
one
I
up.
tried to emulate Skrillex at one point, which is like the polar opposite of who I am now. So that's we all come from somewhere.
Hey, Veni Vidi Vici, right?
I still have
Um,
it there, bro.
but I actually would love to work with rappers at some point. But I just the what scares me is that like I feel like I would have to go through the sea of the SoundCloud, you know, Eminem wannabes or whatever, you know.
Oh man,
I want to do like Jay Dilla type beats, like old school, you know. That's the kind
right?
of
Yeah, I love that. You said resurgence. That's the kind of sound that glitch hoppy type sound.
yeah, and like 90s
Plunderphonic
gangster
type
rap is
stuff.
just hits so good, and I'm like, why aren't these beats coming back?
Like, what?
Oh,
Like Big L? Yeah, I was listening to Big L recently.
Like Kid Frost and
I like the
Eazy
Memphis
E.
shit. Like
Easy
like
E, Ice Cube, all of that.
all the like lo-fi Memphis shit from the 90s, like Tommy Wright the Third type shit. I would like to hear a lot of that.
It's just a
Like,
bunch of like it was
did
just
y'all
a bunch
listen
of like
to-
these young artists who were like, you know, are like slightly younger than us, who were just in a basement with their friends and like a tape deck and they were sampling vinyl records, like stuff from the 70s.
Bro,
A lot of that 90s
Thank
rap
you.
has like a 70s sound to it, and I crave
Yeah,
that back.
because they were sampled. That's like when sampling, you know, is pretty much
It was a
birth.
golden age for
You're
sampling.
you're
Like-
right. I mean,
Love it.
let me not cut you off. You're speaking truth right now.
But like, if you think about that, like, that's crazy, bro. Like, music, the history of modern music is really not that long. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Mhm.
you go back to the 1920s, that's a whole different kind of music. That's 100 years ago. Like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, the fact, like, I don't know, I just think it shows that we can, you know, just do more. Like, anything could become what changes, you know, a certain scene or a certain
Crazy. It's
That
crazy.
reminds Of
You
the
know, it's-
quote, it's like, "Oh, everything's been done already. What's the point?"
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
fucking
Yeah,
Everyone's-
it's like everything's been
I'm
done.
I'm so
more-
sick of that Twitter take. Who fucking cares? So what do we do?
Yeah.
Give up on music? Oh, it's already
Yeah.
all been done.
Bro,
Oops.
like
cares?
I'll sit here and I'll say it right now in front of everybody. Like, I steal all the time, but like, you don't straight up steal. You copy.
Transform
Skelly
it,
straight
and
up
run it
steals.
through your own
No.
filter. You know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So when that's kind of how it works is that you start making music, and the first thing you do is try and copy something that your heroes do, but you're not quite at the same level as your heroes, so you end up doing something completely different.
Yeah,
and
and
that's
you
how.
like
And
develop
guess
your
what?
own
That's how
sound.
new genre, and that's how new genres are born.
That's exactly what we're doing right now, because we were all like, "Oh yeah, we
That's how music's
wanted
made.
that like Windows 96 sound,"
And then you did it,
we're
and it
not
sounds
on his
not like
level.
that. Sounds like you guys.
And
Try to
we
steal
we end up just
$20
doing
worth of music
something-
every
We end
day.
up doing vapor prog.
You end up doing vapor prog.
Yeah,
Exactly.
fuck it. I mean,
It's true. You end up actually
yeah,
making
finding
vapor
your
prog.
own limitations and your own weaknesses, like, form your own sound in the end, because like, you have to figure out your own way of circumnavigating like your weakness, you know, when it comes to
Yeah.
production. So like, then you being like, okay, I want to make it sound like this. I don't know how they do it. I'm gonna make up my own way of, you know, trying to recreate that, and that's your sound.
Yeah, exactly. And
Chris,
also, like, just like, I think what I've noticed, what forms a definitive style is like repetition of what sounds you're using. So, I use you could see it sort of in the background, the Korg MS-20. That's like my favorite synth ever. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, MS-20.
it
that's
has a
big one.
really
That
like
thing's a
rough,
tank.
dark
Yeah.
sound to it, and the
Yeah.
filters are crazy. So just
I
because I
remember-
use that on every track, it like
Yeah.
creates a consistency
Lady,
with my sound.
the
And
band-
Sona uses like similar sound fonts and samples
Interesting.
throughout. Like, he uses the same like kick and snare sound like in every track. But like, it's great though, because Yeah,
That's how
no,
you.
that's not a diss. That is not a diss. That is me saying like that's great because it creates consistency. And so all the tracks it's like glue that like okay, that's the
Gotta bust out the
Sonavision
flames, Jeff.
Deluxe kick and snare. You know,
Sona, what would you like to say to this?
Nah, he's right. I mean, like, yeah, but that's, I don't know. I've been self-deprecating McGee lately with my production, so I've been trying to vary it up, but then I just end up with a pile of so it's fucking...
If y'all have ever listened
that's
to,
what
like...
gives you the consistency, though, that makes people recognize that, like, oh, that's his thing, you know? Like Windows 96, he uses the pan flute all the time.
Oh, and I love
so,
it.
like, that's... And he uses that cat roar, you know? That... That's in, like, all of his tracks.
Well, like, have you guys ever listened to, like
signature.
dark... Like, I mentioned Perturbator earlier. It's always...
Yeah.
It's just
So
like
that
the
just
whole fucking
becomes their
song.
little
And nobody
signature.
cares. Nobody cares.
It could be a preset. It could be something you come up with on your own, just as long as you like think about it thematically and use it in a consistent way that works. Then you create that identity. So
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
just be consistent with your sound choices. And like especially on albums, like on albums now, I just use before I used to be very varied. I would use like tons of different instruments on like every track. And at first I thought that was super cool, but also like it makes the album sound too random. So sticking to the same
that can
sound
work
palette.
sometimes. I mean,
Yeah, sure, if that's what
Everything
you're going
is
for. But if you
thematically
want like a very mono themed album to like stick with the same
Yeah.
vibe throughout the whole thing, and
it's
create
a
very
careful dance,
specific image,
between like switching things up and
I mean,
maintaining a brand,
It's a balancing act.
Like if you
know?
never ever change, people will complain.
I know
But if your
exactly.
sound
So
changes
the
drastically,
trick was to keep some stuff the same, like half of it like familiar and the other half brand new.
Right.
So you're keeping that familiarity that people recognize from you, but you're introducing some new colors into the palette to keep people
There you go.
engaged.
Or make a alter ego if you want anytime.
Yeah, like a side project.
Yeah,
There you go.
Toby Larobe for the win. Rest in peace,
Toby, where everyone needs to listen to Toby Larobe.
Rest in peace, Toby Larobe.
How do you spell
Dead.
Larobe? Is it like Larobe?
So it's TOBILAROBI.
Is that your side project?
Yeah.
Damn.
Toby's
You
a
heard- you
wild
heard it on
kid.
Hot Takes.
No, he died.
Is Toby like the cool kid that has the inline skates
no,
and his
Toby
mom lets him
Larobe's
like drink soda?
if you read the Bandcamp bio, you'll figure it out.
Damn. Somebody Lux will probably have linked it in less than a minute. Lux is the link queen.
Ooh.
Chris, did you
Yeah.
want to get one
Toby.
more maybe? Did you want to get one more serious question in before I just go absolutely nuts?
No, everything's been so serious. Actually, this whole conversation about interest in that art, the direction of it,
Oh,
the construction of it,
boy.
I've gotten pretty much, and they've got all their backstories. So,
All
if
right,
you want to ask
so-
some
yeah, I
some
wanna
of your
start with
questions, go
Sona.
for it.
I'm gonna start with Sona. Who is your favorite artist or act of all time? That's a hard one. So Komit, be thinking about your answer. So we're gonna do
Favorite-
Sona first, but
Me.
oh, great. All right.
No. Dude, fuck, that's hard.
I know what your answer is. You're just not thinking of it. It starts with an R.
Ringo Death Star.
What?
The Ramones.
No, it's a band that you show me all the time.
Refused.
What? Radiohead? Radiohead
Yeah.
is not my favorite band.
It's
of all-
not?
No.
Well, it should be.
I mean,
Rush.
yeah, totally acceptable answer. Nah, honestly, maybe. Fuck it, Van Halen, bro, all the
Van
way.
Halen. Fuck yeah.
Love it.
All right. Now here's the
I
real
love it.
question. What is Van Halen's most overrated song?
Most
Okay.
overrated song.
Yeah.
Oh, Running with the Devil.
Okay.
Interesting pick. One of the big anthems. Why do you
Yeah.
find it overrated?
It is not
It's-
Jump, Strip Silence.
I mean, like, admittedly, it's the first song off their first album ever, so it's like, yeah, you gotta give
I
it some
got you.
respect. But it's
Yeah.
like, come on, you can do way more than that. Like the bass note, the
That's
entire
fair.
time. Come on.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Komit.
Komit,
What's your answer?
favorite
Okay,
actor,
so
artist of all time.
Trying to think of one I haven't mentioned yet. I guess Boards of Canada.
Oh,
yes.
Big
wow.
influence.
Big.
Proto
Right.
vaporwave.
Yeah,
Most,
for sure.
I
Yeah.
thoroughly agree with that statement.
Because
Thoroughly.
their recording techniques with like tapes and mangling old equipment, like that's
inspiring
I
to
follow
me.
that religiously. Like that's my production
You mentioned
process.
hauntology before the episode started.
Yes, hauntology and vaporwave are like one and the same. They're like vaporwave, so it's about nostalgia, right?
Mhm.
But like nostalgia is very personal. It's bittersweet. You know, it's not just like warm, fuzzy memories of your past. There's
Right.
like this like sad awareness that like that's gone and like metaphorically dead now, and you can never have it that way ever again. You can never have those good old days, you know, the same way. And so it's kind of like a ghost that haunts you, and it's kind of creepy. And a lot of Boards of Canada music evokes that like you hear a happy little melody playing that sounds childlike and wondrous.
Yeah, literally
but
in many
it
of their
gets
songs.
damaged and destroyed by like their use of like old tapes and vintage gear. It like wears it down. So you're hearing a happy little tune, but it sounds broken and sad and like messed up and like it's dying. And it's like, ooh, it just makes me feel really uncomfortable, but in a fun
Like you
way.
found it in an
which
attic
is-
somewhere.
I think music should be challenging and like very emotionally conflicting. And when I first started listening to them, my friend recommended me to listen to their music, and I didn't like it at first because it made me feel really creeped out and uncomfortable. But I couldn't
You
deny
listened
that
to
like the
Gio Gotti
composing
first,
is so
didn't
good
you?
and the production is so good and the melodies are so catchy that I eventually like decided to sit myself down and just like deal with that weird feeling, and I ended up falling in love with them essentially. So
All right.
I love
Yeah.
it. Now you have to tell me their most overrated track.
Everything You Do Is a Balloon.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I
and
would have
think
said
it's-
Dave
I think
and
it's a
Cowboy.
fine track. It's
We-
decent, but it's really repetitive and it's not that interesting. And
We can listen to more.
anything off of Geo Gaddy is like a million times better.
Fingers,
Yeah,
Strip
yeah.
Silence
Beware the
mentioned
Friendly
Salad
Stranger.
Yeah.
bro. Low key, Salad Fingers kind of got me into the music too, because I remember
Right.
as a kid.
Yeah,
watching
that was the
that,
background song for
Yeah.
and I
that.
would hear
that-
the
so
background and I'd be
creepy.
like, that shit.
You are not the only person who said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe that melody in terms of emotion. Like it's
Wow.
just
It's
It's exactly what you described. It's lighthearted, but it's
longing.
but it's so lo-fi that it sounds like broken and like fragile
sodden.
and sad.
it's soaked
Yeah.
through and damaged.
And like the title too, it's like Beware the Friendly Stranger. So you're thinking about like a poor child being like preyed upon by some creep. It's like it
Oh my
it like
God.
puts a horror movie in your head. It's so
It
It
weird.
reminds me of that old. I've mentioned this on the show before. There's an old PSA that I've shown Lux where it's like from the '60s, and it's like beware, like I'm the spirit of dark and deadly water or whatever.
Oh my
And
god.
it's like fucking terrifying.
that goes into like analog horror.
Yeah,
Like the
Yeah.
old CRTs and the VHS stuff. There's something inherently creepy about like old technology breaking down. I can't like understand exactly what it is about it,
Yeah.
but it speaks to me very deeply.
Me too. Me
And
too.
it challenges me in like an interesting way and stimulates like my mind. I don't know. So
hell yeah.
I might do an analog horror side project with Komit. I don't know. Who knows? Because to me, all of that connects with vaporwave because it's all about
Kinda.
nostalgia
Very
and how
much
nostalgia
so.
can be warm and fuzzy and happy, but also kind of it has this like creepy undercurrent.
It can be unsettling
Like
for sure.
Like a ghost. It's a ghost of the past.
Yeah, so there's definitely room to explore that. Right now, you know, me and Sona have been on like this wondrous fantasy kick. Lately,
Yeah.
like old school RPG, like fantasy RPGs and stuff, which is really, really upbeat and nice. And that's how I kind of want to keep Komit. But every now and then I like want to trail off into the dark side and make something kind of spooky. Who knows?
If their inspiration is there, absolutely.
Yeah, I mentioned that like that PS1 idea where I just like record like liminal spaces in PS1 games I find and like score music to it. Because I've done soundtrack work before for my friends.
That's a
They do
project I'm
short-
very excited about seeing.
Yeah, like okay, so just a little side thing. My friends have a YouTube channel called Mick Jade Productions. It's
McJade Productions.
MCJEYD, and they do a bunch of funny like short films there. And I've scored pretty much most of the videos. If you hear like synthesizers and stuff in the background, it's me.
Very
So,
cool. McJade Productions.
If you want to hear more of my stuff in terms of like film composing, it's under McJade Productions on
Shoot,
YouTube.
Lux just linked it. Thank you, Lux.
Dope.
She's
Thank
a
you
real
so
one.
much.
All right, fellas, next round. Sona, starting with you. What are your top 3 acts that you wish you could see live? Dead or alive? Any top 3?
I would love to see Alice in Chains live.
Wow.
Uh,
Interesting.
Bro, Alice in Chains goes so fucking hard.
I love Alice in Chains.
Kind of like a tie with them, low key, around the same time as Stone Temple Pilots. Them too. I would love to see them.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
Some real
tricks.
early 90s shit.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's so interesting that's like this is like the thing that you would be really interested in seeing.
like that's what I grew up on, you know, because I was born in '98. So like,
Oh yeah,
my dad was listening to all that shit. Like when I
of
was.
course.
Also, I'd love to see. I'd say Tame Impala, but I saw him live in March, and it was so dope. Like one
Oh,
of
bet.
easily the best show I ever saw.
Wow.
Van Halen, obviously.
But like, let's
Oh,
say
yeah.
Van Halen at their prime. Like, if you can
Oh
say,
yeah.
you can go back in time and see them in like 1979 or 1982.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys know anything about Connecticut, where I'm from, but we used to have this huge Coliseum. It was called the New Haven Coliseum, and like it was a huge venue, and like all the huge rock bands would play there all the time. And like my dad went to go see all that shit.
Damn.
1984 World Tour.
Wild. That's
Got 3?
unreal.
Real nice.
Komit, you got 3 for me?
Yeah,
3 or more?
okay. So, very specifically, Juno Reactor from their 2001 tour for their Shango album. They did a live show in Tokyo. There's a whole thing on it on YouTube. Yeah, specifically from 2001 in Tokyo, Juno Reactor. They had like this acrobatic South African percussion group with them called Amampondo. And so it's these guys that are in full like traditional tribal dress with like the face paint and stuff, and they're like banging on all sorts of drums. They're doing like somersaults and like all sorts of crazy dance moves, and they're chanting into the microphones with like these crazy trance beats just pounding in the background and like these crazy synth arpeggios. And just, oh my god, the footage of that is so cool. Their live acts now, it's just kind of a DJ set, which is kind of disappointing. So I wouldn't want to see them live now. I would wish to have seen them back in the early 2000s for the Shango tour.
Interesting.
Another band I wish I could have seen in the early 80s was Siouxsie and the Banshees.
Oh yeah.
Styled
absolutely.
after Siouxsie Sioux right now. She's my favorite singer. Really intense vocals, really intense stage presence. At the time, they had a really awesome guitarist, John McGeoch,
Yes.
who did really cool, like arpeggiated, like finger picking. It wasn't like strumming
Wild.
guitar; it was very intricate. So yeah, Siouxsie and the Banshees from the early '80s, Juno Reactor, and the third one I'm kind of drawing. John Carpenter. I would love to see John Carpenter.
Wait.
Great choice.
Sure. Gonna move the mic a little bit, getting very crackly.
What?
Yeah, is that you
sorry.
or is that
Move
Komit?
it up. Oh, once you're over there, it's not as crackly. All right. So
Is
John
it better
Carpenter.
now? Here?
Yeah, when you're facing that direction, for some reason it goes away.
Yeah, I don't know what's causing it,
Yeah,
but
it's the weird.
No.
wireless- It's the wireless bullshit. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's only when you turn to the right. Apparently, that's.
Oh my god. Okay, that's so
Stay here
weird.
and you're good. All right. So John Carpenter.
John Carpenter would be my last because he has so many iconic themes like the fog, and when he plays Halloween live, everyone goes batshit, and it's the best.
Dude, Lux and I watched Assault on Precinct 13 for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
God.
And every once in a while, just have to just like out of nowhere, just go da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na.
Yeah, I know. He's really repetitive with his themes, but helps
he's great at
drill
writing
it into
hooks.
your head, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the theme from The Thing was just don't.
Yeah. Okay. So fun story about The Thing is that he hired that classic spaghetti western composer. Oh, he did music for Quentin Tarantino too.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm
He's
forgetting
really
his
famous.
name.
I'll tell you in a second. I know who you're talking exactly.
Yeah, I know
Oni.
too.
I keep something Oni. Something. Hold on.
Yeah. So, anyways, while you're figuring that out, he hired that iconic composer to do the music for The Thing, and he ended up thinking,
Morricone. That's it, right?
One more time.
Ennio Morricone.
And now I remember Ennio Morricone. Once you said that,
Morricone, yeah.
Morricone,
So we hired Morricone to do the music.
What the fuck is this?
Ryuichi Sakamoto.
It was a Japanese.
Ennio Morricone.
Ennio Morricone. Yes. Thank you. So John hired him to do the music, and it was this very big, bombastic sort of orchestral stuff. And John ended up not really digging that, so he cut all of that out except for the bass tone, and literally got rid of everything except for the bass. So that's why you're left with this iconic doom doom.
Yep.
Doom doom.
And it works.
Which is also
so
in
well.
Halloween. Like if you listen to the chase scenes in Halloween, it's done on like very simple but like repetitive, and that's what makes it like iconic.
I mean, it worked in Jaws.
Yeah, it's just two notes. It's two fucking notes. You know, and now the whole world knows what that is. So that's why I'm so into like composing stuff from scratch. I want to find like a melody that just resonates with everybody and like can, I don't know, have the same kind of longevity as like a nursery rhyme that's been passed down for hundreds of years. That's like my ambition.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Starting with Sona, do you have a like go-to type of music for when you're sad, happy, angry, etc., or do you just listen to whatever whenever?
I mean, usually it's whatever, whenever, but like sad, I definitely listen to more sad stuff just by default. I don't know, gotta stop doing that.
I kind of fuck with sad music too.
It's cathartic, I think. I think it helps.
It's cathartic, but it's like, bro, what am I doing? I'm just making myself more sad. Like, come on.
So when you are already sad, do you seek out more sad music?
I guess it's like, yeah, you'll catch me listening to more Coldplay, I guess.
Well, I was going to ask you like what your
Interesting.
go-to sad music is.
Like, yeah, definitely Parachutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Komit? Do you have any go-to like happy music or angry music or sad
Oh,
music?
well, I guess since we're on the sad subject, I don't know, something about Phoenix. The main singer of Phoenix for their album Bankrupt.
Okay.
And Peter, Bjorn, and John, they had that album that Young Folks is on.
Of course.
It was that like iconic whistle, like
Yes. I don't care about the old folks talking about.
the album.
You're
that
talking
that's
about
from.
like indie-tronic band, right?
Yeah,
Phoenix?
like okay, for when it comes to like sad vibes, I lean towards like those indie hipster like rock bands from like the late 2000s and early 2010s.
Late 2000s. Oh, interesting.
Because that was
What are you
like
talking about, like
that was like my
Virgin
teen,
Social Scene, Animal
that was like my
Collective?
teen years, and like I would listen to that stuff like whenever I get my heart broken. So I go back to that to like cry or whatever.
Or like The National or something.
Or like actually Susie and the
The
Banshees
National.
gets me
There
through
you
a
go.
lot of rough times too.
Gotcha.
Their album Juju is my favorite.
Mm.
Very dark, macabre stuff. I don't know, dark like fucked up shit, like horror movies or like creepy music. It helps get me through rough stuff, I guess, because it gives me something to be distracted by. It's like, oh
Right.
wow, that's
Good point.
terrifying and so much worse than my life.
Right.
So I could sort of run away with the fantasy of something horrific instead of living it. I don't know if that makes sense. But happy stuff, I guess I go back to my childhood game soundtracks.
Nice.
As I said, Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness, John Holland composed that. Very beautiful, catchy melodies throughout that game soundtrack. Very good. Lots of pan flutes.
I will never tire of pan flute or marimba ever.
Marimbas.
That grabs
I
me.
need to do more marimba and vibraphone.
Grabs me every time.
It's
What,
a vibe.
If I can, and I'm sorry, I always start with Sona because he's just like on the left for me.
No,
and you're
that's
on the
fine.
Right.
I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
that's
hogging.
this banger of an episode.
Okay,
Starting with
absolutely.
Sona, like what grabs you when you're listening to a song you've never heard before? Like, say you listen to a track Skelly puts you on. Say you're listening to R+7 for the first time. How are you gonna like know if something has grabbed you or not?
I don't know. Like when you just like when it takes you places. I don't know.
That's a great fucking answer.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, atmosphere. Just when it's like, this is. I guess when it's like, okay, this could fill the soundtrack to my life. In a
Nice.
weird.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
I like that answer a lot. What about you, Komit?
For me, it's all about melody. So sometimes it hits me after
Me too.
I've listened to the music.
Yeah.
So let's say I put on a record and I'm like, okay, that was nice. And then like a couple days later, I find myself like humming like some of the tunes from it to myself. And I'm like, oh no, I can't get this out of my head. Oh, do I love this? I think I love this. So that's when it hits. It's a bit of a delayed effect. And then it like grows on me over time. And I'm like, okay. So it's usually like, I know it sounds kind of like typical, but a catchy melody, just make it
No,
boppy.
that grabs me. That's why I love 80s music, man. Just hooks.
Yeah, it's like
strong
it's
melodies
all about
really
the
get
melody
me.
and just how these simple little notes can just live forever in your mind.
Great
Yeah,
answers.
it's interesting. The psychological, like subliminal, I don't know, subconscious effects that it could have on you, and how it like
right.
throughout your day you just catch yourself like whistling along to it, and you're all like, what? Where did that come from? Oh yeah, I listened to that thing the other day.
Got to hear it again.
Yeah, it makes you want to keep replaying it. Replay value.
I want to ask y'all, as people that are familiar with and very knowledgeable about the visual aspect, what are some examples of, starting with Sona again, what are some examples of your favorite album artwork?
Favorite? Oh, you know who has really fucking hard artwork? Asia.
Oh,
Yeah, they
Asia.
Ooh.
Bro,
Yeah, they
like,
do.
Interesting choice.
every
Love
time
it.
Asia.
Honestly, like proggy stuff in the 80s is always hard as shit.
Yeah, like
It'll be like a
just,
spaceship and like
just that airbrushed fucking, that like hazy brush tone
Like,
to it.
and the spaceship is actually an electric guitar or some shit
Yeah,
like that.
Austin obviously. Then Gav Windows, he has like he said it himself. He spends a lot of time on the artwork for his stuff, and like I always love his artwork, especially his last one, Empty Hiding World. Like that's one of my favorite covers I've ever seen. Low-key.
So good.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so good. That I always thought Kanye had really good covers, but as I've grown older, I don't know. Like the Graduation and the Bear stuff was like, kind of overhyped. But after that, I thought he had really good album covers, low-key.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Nice.
Very cool. Komit. Favorite
Okay,
album artwork.
so I guess my favorite band that inspired me initially, Juno Reactor, have a lot of dope album covers. Some of their early stuff, it was like weird collage stuff, like their album Beyond the Infinite from 1995. It's like this weird image of like a samurai, but like there's a bunch of weird cutout like facial parts that like go on. It's like all Picasso'd, and it's like it was all done by hand. It was like before Photoshop. One of the albums I do own by them, The Golden Sun of the Great East, is a really cool record because it's like a traditional painting, but there's like digital painting put on top of it to add like
Yeah,
the gas masks
that's wild
and
looking.
the weird breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
It's really it's cool.
I
I
fuck
like
with
it. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
like a
wild
weird
looking.
sacrificial, like taking it to the lamb to the, I don't know, the altar or
Now,
something.
I'm kind of a Philistine. I've never heard Juno Reactor. Is it like industrial music?
Kind of. It's like
Yeah.
it's like synth.
That cover
it's
gives
like,
off some like serious industrial music vibes.
Yeah, it's like imagine like late 80s like dance stuff and like
Okay.
early 90s trance.
Okay.
But like
Ah.
you're hearing like Latin singing on top of it, or like tribal drums.
Very interesting.
Like
So pretty
Tibetan
bombastic.
chanting, and it's like all sorts of cultural stuff. There's a cool story. One of the tracks on this album has this wonderful like Punjabi like Indian vocal singer on it, and the main producer of the band said that he was just in a taxi in Mumbai, India, and he was riding with another passenger who happened to be a folk singer, and he loved his voice, and so he whipped out his phone and just recorded this like folk singer in India just singing in a taxi, and it landed on the album. So
Oh,
that's
nifty as
awesome.
fuck. I love that.
I love that approach. Just all sorts of influences from around the world coming together.
Right.
He calls it car crash music, which is pretty funny.
No, that's really interesting. I guess I need to.
I hard
figure out some more
recommend.
about Juno
It's
Reactor.
where I get the Komit name from. It's one of their tracks.
Damn. Well, it's got to be good.
Yeah.
We actually have a chat question. Strip Silence wants to know, and we'll again start with Sona. What is most important in this order? So rank these in the order of importance, right? Music, track names, album art.
Music obviously is number one. That's paramount.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, right?
Then album art, track names.
Thomas
Same.
got a big smile. Obviously,
Same.
agrees. I low-key don't even remember some of the track names sometimes, y'all. Especially if it's
Okay,
like a telepath.
As much
like,
as
I don't
I
know what
as
that
much
shit
as
is
I
called.
talk about our boy Windows 96, I forget a lot of the track titles on 100
Right.
Mornings. Like I get them all mixed up.
Oh, I love 100 Mornings so much. I know it's cliche to say that, but that was my
It's a
introduction.
fucking
Like,
iconic
that's-
album.
That's Twilight 101. That's
Yeah. We haven't even talked about Twilight much, Sona, but that's kind of like what we're a part of, I guess.
What do you mean?
Because Gav from W96, he calls his music Twilight synth. And
Really?
when we
See,
started sending
Interesting.
him our stuff, he was all like, "This is some dope Twilight," and we're all like,
Hmm.
"Okay, so I guess this is
That's
like
really
what our
cool.
This is what-
subgenre
that's
of
really
vaporwave
interesting.
is."
Oh,
FM
wow.
Skyline calls
Wow.
it MIDI wave, but
Yeah.
I think
Right.
Twilight sounds
I
cooler.
like, it sounds really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
well, there is
Twilight.
something kind of Vespertine about Windows 96's music. Sometimes. Some of his albums, I mean, you know, he's all over the place. Some of his albums are kind of like almost dancey, like the one with the button up on the cover.
Oh yeah,
And-
that's his early stuff.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
the Tommy Vercetti Vice City
Right,
shirt.
right. And then he's got like, you know, his side project, which I think is just White Gabrielle, and it's like dark
Yeah,
synth.
oh, there's White Gabrielle, there's Gabrielle,
There's
there's
Gudang.
Gudang.
Yeah, or
There's
Lux,
so
Lux is a
many-
really big fan of that.
Yeah, I love Gudang. That inspired a lot of Soundbathe, my album
I need to,
Soundbathe.
because I love video game OSTs as well. So I
Yeah.
really need to hear Plume Valley. I haven't
Plume
heard it
Valley,
yet.
I have that on vinyl. I fall asleep to that out record. It just puts me in this wonderful. It reminds me of my trip to Japan, actually.
Oh damn!
It's
You went to
like-
Japan? That's sick.
I get this. Yeah. In the summer of 2018, I did like volunteer work on farms. I actually made an album. That kind of segues into my like shout out. I made an album. There's no more copies of this.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry, but this is a Polaroid I took of like a shiitake mushroom farm.
Wow.
There's no. It was summer, so they weren't in season. But you can see all these trees. These are these guardian doggos.
Oh
that,
wow!
like, there's statues that like protect shrines from evil spirits, and I made it into like a gatefold. So these are all the
Oh,
Polaroids
that's so nifty.
I took
Wow.
in
You
Japan.
pressed that?
Yeah. I got it done
Amazing.
through a short run service called One Cut Vinyl. They're from the UK. It's it's
They
probably
do
the
like one
cheapest-
pressing for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool as
I think
fuck.
you could get like up to 6 copies.
Yeah.
So I got a few of these done for my friends, and that's kind of it. If I had the funds, I would do a full like 200, 300 run, because I'm really proud of this one. I got it on this beautiful green,
Ooh,
and the sticker.
goddamn, bro.
The sticker is this like lovely landscape shot I
Shit, I'm
got
gonna
of
get
a
some
rice
my
field.
DJ sets pressed to vinyl. Let's go.
And here's a nice koi pond from a park I went
Damn,
to.
you took all those photos yourself? Fucking
Yeah.
artisan as fuck.
Yeah, okay, so what I love about especially like vinyl or like tapes is that it gives you an excuse to make a fuck ton of more art for it.
Yeah.
So it's not just the front cover. You have to design a back cover. You have to design the gatefold. You got to do the stickers for, the label. It's cool. So I hope someday to get more copies of that made for people, because there are some of my followers on Bandcamp are kind of pissed. They're all like,
Yeah, I hope you saved all those like files and shit so that people.
oh
can-
yeah, no, I definitely
can
do. So
get it
this
done.
album it's called Countryside Days, by the way. It was inspired by my trip, and it has a lot of samples, like field recordings that I got while I was in the forests in Japan, and just it's a very Plume Valley kind of it's like my version of Plume Valley pretty much. So it's very like low key, like chill. The first side, like the A side, is very like poppy, like happy, upbeat, like catchy melodies, and then the
Catching
B
people's
side is
attention.
like experimental ambient. So I tried to do like 2 albums in one. You should talk about your records, Sona. You should show off your tape of Mantis Fantasy.
The people demand it.
Here it is. I don't know where the actual tape is for it. Hold on, fuck.
It has a beautiful strip.
Hold on.
Yeah. So
There it
for those that are tuning in on podcasting services, the boys have been showing off their albums.
Yeah.
Sona is showing off his tape of Mantis
Yeah,
Fantasy.
the sticker has a nice Bryce render on there.
Yeah,
That
shout
is
out
really cool.
again. Yeah, I did these Bryce renders in there. Shout out Midwest Collective.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, Midwest. I love Midwest Collective.
Yeah, I have 2 tapes on them so far, but I'll let you finish showing off your J card. Oh my
Oh,
god.
beautiful.
I
There's
love that.
there's a lot of like chill synth stuff coming out on that label. Like a lot of like hotel pools esque home residence type stuff. Do
Hotel
y'all ever
Pools is great.
Yeah, do y'all
yeah.
ever like collab with anybody kind of from
We
Midwest
want
Collective?
I
or-
want to really bad.
Yeah.
Nano Novo.
Nano Novo
There you
makes
go.
an appearance
That's right,
on
you did mention
Creation.
that.
Wait.
Oh
got
my
both.
Yeah,
God.
Sona has a track with how many tracks with Pastel Beach?
Yeah, I just was on his
Pastel
last.
Beach seems really cool. I'd like to get more into their work.
Hard recommend.
Yeah.
Here he is. I don't have the Obi strip for it, but the Obi strip
Damn.
for this
Oh, I do.
fire.
Nice.
This, yeah,
Really, really cool.
his
Love
look
it.
shit.
Oh my god, it's such an awesome.
Oh, that's a
it's
really
such an
cool
awesome
tape.
What's that called?
You seeing this, Chris?
Yeah, I'm looking at the.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
wild.
It's one of the
Holy
most
shit.
beautiful tape designs I've ever seen in my
That's
life.
really cool.
I am
That's
not
insane.
exaggerating. I want
What
more
is
people
this?
to do this.
The Pastel Beach, bro. He might be
Whoa.
the naturally talented kid I've ever.
Oh my god, yes.
Wow.
You know what? We should recommend.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Very
get into
wow.
that actually in a minute. We're actually almost done with our broadcast, guys. But I wanted before
Okay.
we got into that section, I wanted to see if Chris, if you had any like final questions you wanted to ask the boys.
I want to know who they recommend. That's what I want to know. Who they recommend we check out.
All right,
yeah,
yeah.
Pastel
Drop
Beach,
some recs,
as we
guys.
just said.
Nano Novo. Give
Nano
them
Novo is really good.
tape.
Alt.
Yeah,
Alt is
Alt,
good.
shout out Alt too. He just had a tape.
Alt,
with-
Alt F4 wave or different Alt?
Yeah.
All right.
Alt,
Yeah, that's him.
Nice.
Yeah, he had a short little EP come out called Fairlight. Really,
Very
really good
cool.
stuff.
really good. Who else? Gav.
Us.
Yeah, White Gabrielle, nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so all of these albums are still on my Bandcamp. and they're very far from selling out. So there's a bountiful quantity. So
Sick.
Sunrays is my last EP. It's really, really great. I love this. I kind of want to show off the J cards really quick.
Do it. Well,
So I
guess-
scanned this like marble. That's like actual marble that I put in my scanner, and I tinted it blue. I took that sun mask from the poster of the Wicker Man, and this is a Persian god called Mithra. So the whole thing about
that's
this
wild.
EP is it's about sun worship from like different cultures around the world, like different times. There's like a poem on the back that's quoting the hymn to the Aten, which is the first like poem about like monotheism in ancient Egypt, because ancient Egypt was primarily like polytheistic, where they believed in
True.
multiple gods. But this one pharaoh came around and wrote this super like gushy poem about the sun, and he's all like, that's the one true god. And so I thought that was fascinating. I made a track about that. That's kind of what this album is about. So yeah, Sunrays, that's my proudest
Too cool.
release so far, I'll say. I'm trying to go fast. So-
No, we got 10 more minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So, like, we'll just let you have the floor first. Anything you want to shout out. If you're on Twitch, it'd be super cool if you could drop links to your Bandcamp or some of your albums. If you're not currently on Twitch, I know somebody awesome like Lux probably will.
Yeah, just like, okay, I guess the link to my Sunrays EP, which is like the last thing I did. So even if you go to komit.bandcamp.com,
Comment.bandcamp.com. Pretty easy. It's on the screen.
yeah,
KOMIT.
you'll see that this is I believe it's Theta Bara, an old
Okay.
silent film star. I just took a photo of her face and kaleidoscoped it to make it into like a
this
sun,
fool
but like
knows
a
everything
biblically
about art.
accurate angel with multiple eyes.
Shit.
Yeah, so that is like my proudest little EP I've done.
I can
lately.
see why.
Yeah.
Do you want to promote anything else that you have coming up? Or shout out or name drop anybody else? Now we know where to find your work, and I recommend y'all run up those buys. Do you have
okay,
merch,
so I
et
guess
cetera?
I have some stuff that is already available via streaming on like my Spotify and like YouTube like topic channel and stuff, but I don't have it on Bandcamp yet. So I'm reserving a few releases for the upcoming Bandcamp Fridays. So
Very cool.
there's like a workout, like a short little workout like vibe EP, like a cheesy 80s workout tape. Like imagine the music
Gotcha.
you would hear on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop that on Bandcamp, I think on December 2nd. That's the next
Sick.
Bandcamp Friday, I believe. Because
Very
here's
cool.
a scary thing with when you sell a lot of merch on
Yeah.
Bandcamp is that you get more money and you sort of build up a debt. So when you make a digital sale, they take money from that debt, and it's kind of like
I have
a
heard.
fan will pay like $10 for an album, and all of that $10 won't even go to you. It will go back to Bandcamp to like fulfill that debt. So that makes me
Yeah.
very uncomfortable, knowing that a fan is like giving me their hard-earned cash. They're thinking they're supporting me, but then it goes to this mega corporation because
That's why I
owe
always
them.
just PayPal.
Yeah, like I really wish that they could
Hot take.
use
PayPal
other.
your friends. Just drop a DM. Hey, what's your PayPal, bro?
Yeah, that's actually
Especially if you
someone
only
did
do
that
digitals
recently
like me.
because I posted about that, and someone actually was like, "What is it?" And they sent it to me, and I was
Right.
like, "Thank you."
Right.
So yeah, Bandcamp
Sick.
is kind of fucking weird when it comes to that, but yeah, I'm gonna try and stick to just releasing physical stuff or digital stuff on Bandcamp Fridays specifically, so I
Let's
can
do it.
eat. It would be fun to be able to eat.
Gotta eat, boy. Anything
I am
else you want
broke.
to add before we do Sona?
Not much. I already shouted out who I want to shout out. I
Good.
talked about what's coming up. But like as for like the next big album, hopefully by this summer. The desert level thing I mentioned, I want to get it out by this summer, but I want it to come with vinyl too, and that's kind of a thing is that vinyl is kind of fucked right now because
True.
pop artists have been overdoing it, like Adele with her 300,000
Oh God.
pressings,
right.
Yeah,
like
right.
it
We've
dried
talked
up
about
the
this
manufacturing plants, and now smaller artists can't get, copies made at a reasonable time. It took our album that we made together,
Before. Yeah.
Creation. It took like a year for it to drop. We were done
Wow.
with that album for a year.
Really? I didn't know
And,
Unreal.
but like because our record label was trying to get it through to the manufacturing plants to get
Yeah.
copies made. I don't know. It just the supplies were short and it just sucked. So we had like a 1 year turnaround. And so I want my next album to come out with all the physicals, but I might have to release it digitally first, just so that the people can have it and hear it,
Yeah.
and wait for
Yeah, I mean,
a vinyl
repress
drop
a little
later.
repress every once in a while never hurt anybody, bro.
Yeah, I just it's best to come out, swinging with
Yeah, true.
everything, but at this point, I care more about people just hearing it in any way possible. So I'm gonna really try and crunch and get the next full LP out by this summer, hopefully, because
Okay.
it's desert vibes.
Let's do it.
That's all for me.
Nice.
Keep your ears and eyes peeled for Komit. Sona, what do you want to shout out? What do you want to promote? What's coming up?
Got an album coming out on December 8th. My third album. Gonna be fire.
December
Hopefully.
8th. That's in a couple weeks.
Yep.
I
All
heard
right.
some of it. It's really promising.
That's pretty much it.
You
pretty
dropped
chill.
your link to your Bandcamp. Is that where we're going to find your album?
Oh yeah, everything.
That's
will
Be Careful's birthday. No shit. Happy early
Wow.
birthday, Be Careful.
O
a hell of a
tanjobi
birthday
omedetou
gift.
gozaimasu.
Yeah.
You playing any live shows anytime soon? You got any live stream events you're participating in?
I got a live show. I think Thanksgiving night actually at this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So.
You're going to play a
Oh,
show
we
on
didn't talk
Thanksgiving
about
night?
that show you did when I came over.
Oh shit! Yeah. That
But
was-
quick recap. So
Yeah. So we had to do a show for with Be Careful actually.
Fuck yeah, Be Careful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A Hero for the Circuit Zero tour.
Y'all were involved with that too. That's right.
Yeah. The Rhode Island, the first stop, and I was doing
With
the
Sev.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Fuck yeah. Okay. It's all coming full circle.
I was doing the first set, so like I guess we had to be there by like 6 for sound check because we had to go on at 8, and we were driving my old car, this shitty ass like Volvo, not shitty, but not up to the task, and
the belt got 8.
yeah, the Serpentine belt ate itself. We had a CRT television in it.
You should have
Yeah,
rented
okay,
a truck.
so I made visuals on a VHS tape to play with as he was playing his music. And
Yeah.
so I had all these visuals ready. He had a CRT TV. We loaded it into the back. Then the car breaks down and
No
we
way.
have his sister. We have his sister come pick us up. And he's all
Unreal.
leave the TV, man. And I'm all like, hell no. I'm carrying this big ass heavy CRT tube TV. And there's
Oh, I know
no
how heavy
room.
those are.
In his sister's van, there's no room because everyone else is packed in the van. So we're sitting in the trunk, laying down. I have this big clunky TV in my ribs, and I'm holding onto my tape with the visuals on it. And he's all
my
watch
God.
out, the cops in Rhode Island are really pissy. So I got a blanket and covered myself up, and I was like, I
That's
hope they
adorable.
don't fucking pull us over. And so
Did you fly
we
out
end
there
up-
for that?
We make it to the venue. We set up the CRT. I put the tape in. And
Not
people were
just
all like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" And the music's going, and it was awesome. Having that all it was a lot of trial and error and tribulation or whatever it's called.
the show must.
It's just a lot of bullshit we had to go through to make it work, and then it worked, and it was so satisfying and so worth it.
And you got a show coming up on Thanksgiving, huh?
I guess so. I keep
Unreal.
forgetting.
Yeah, you've been booking shows, bro.
Yeah,
Awesome. Keep it up.
I did another one with Sav actually.
I love that
Yeah.
guy. We're the
Yeah,
short
Seth-
kings.
I think I met him at Econ. He was super chill, super
Yeah.
wholesome.
Well, you met him at the show too, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's where I recognized him when I saw him at Econ. I was like, hey, it's that guy.
Oh, hey, also shout out my sister. My sister's the shit. She just texted me.
Sona's
Shout out.
sister
Sam,
is
yeah,
the
Shout
shit.
that was dope.
Nice.
You heard it on Hot Takes.
She picked us up and got us to the show.
Yeah,
So
she got us there. She got us there. She's the homie.
Guys,
Based
thank you so much
thing.
for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. This is a
we
great
are so
conversation.
happy
You guys
that
are
you guys
great.
got to be here. I
Oh,
very much
phenomenal
enjoyed
talk.
getting to know
Loved
both
everything
of
you-
you, and I
Yeah.
really want to hang out with y'all both now. Don't forget to patronize Sonavision Deluxe and Komit
Please
with their lovely
buy
new
the
album
buy the vinyl,
and
buy all
their
their
upcoming-
albums that they've released.
and prior releases. Give back to the community. You
For
won't
sure.
regret it. It's Twilight music. You won't regret it. Chris, do you have anything you want to mention? You poor guy. You look so sleepy.
Oh, it's always around this time. I got a 12-2 is a Passion Notes remix. Is being released for the song "Breathe." So check it out. Keep an eye out for that.
Shout out Patch Notes. Any upcoming live shows, live stream events? It's kind of a quiet season, isn't it?
In December, the Passion Notes is going to be releasing the full album of remixes and a re-release of Golden Hour. So I believe there's going to be a live stream event for that.
Very
And keep
cool.
it-
Very clean. I think you and I are both involved in an event that has not been announced yet. So
I think that's what I was talking about, actually.
Is it?
But,
Okay.
but
Might be.
I didn't know it was talked about or not because I don't think album's coming out.
Yeah, might be.
All right. Well, Hot Takes exclusive if you tuned in. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. Anything else, buddy? Before I wrap everything up.
I'm good.
Yep. Guys, I've got a set coming up Friday night at WUML.org. I just spoke with the lovely DJ Soy Boy at Vapor 91.5 FM, WUML Lowell. Lux was actually on last... I'm sorry, honey. Was it Saturday night? I think it's Saturday night. It was a great show. And Soy Boy's got me coming on Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Nice.
WUML.org. I got a 45-minute late-night lo-fi and classic vapor set that I worked really hard on, and you'll really like it. And I got a couple hot takes of my own over the span of that. I think it's a total of 2-hour-long broadcast. If you feel so inclined, Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's WUML.org. And then finally, since y'all are still here, I think we're going to try to raid 3D Blast if he's still alive. But tune in 2 weeks at 9 p.m. Eastern, December 5, for a interview with the very skilled and talented and amazing B. Fanti. It's been a long time coming. It's overdue. B. Fanti, 2 weeks, hot takes. Thank you again to everybody that donated. Holy shit. Be careful. Leo, Luxury Noise, and Okay Baby. Thank you so much. There's the donation link one more time if you feel so inclined. 3D Blast is not streaming, so we're not going to raid 3D Blast.
All right.
But yeah, let's call it a night, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you all. Don't forget to get back to your community, and we will see you in 2 weeks. That's a wrap.
Peace out.
That's a hot take.
Swing it around American flag, 'cause that's what America's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like permanently chill.
The insurance commercial has a fat ass, but like no personality.
Yeah, I feel like sitting here and listening to this.
No, god damn it. Isaac, New Noise is not the first fucking refused album.
Rip Isaac a new one today. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Don't touch my records.